Gator's just, he's so bad at ball that he wins the match doing it. But
overall, I dominated.
You tried to grapple into a fight and you missed the grapple, so you accidentally.
That was one time. That was one time.
That was one game-winning play by being bad at ball, man. Like,
yeah, and it worked, didn't it? It worked, didn't it?
Yeah, it did work. So I can't really refute you there. All that time that you refused to spend practicing ball, it actually paid incredible dividends, more than you actually did.
Absolutely did. And he got treated significantly different. Everybody would come in every morning at 12 because the scrim started at 1. And I'd go pick them up at like 11:45. But me and Donghack would show up a lot of the time at 10 or 11, and this was like mandatory for him to show up to start practicing and warming up ranked. Like he had more pressure on him than anybody else. They banded together, and they were like, "You're done. We're kicking you." The players literally kicked him off the team. They're like, we're done with you. Don't come back. Like, don't come in our room." Hot take: I think Koreans ruined the Overwatch League. So,
that's the title.
That's fine. I don't care. You can put that as a title. I don't care. And this is why. Let me explain myself. This is why.
Hello, welcome to episode 4 of Uncoachable. Normally, we start these intros with some kind of sly dig about the disappointing season Unter had with Gladiators, or the other disappointing season Unter had with Gladiators. And when I was writing this intro, I was just going to make a cheap shot about his mustache. But I thought we should do something nice for Unter for a change. So we brought a guest who had potentially an even more disappointing season in Overwatch League. And really potentially an even worse mustache. So welcome, Gator. I think...
What's up? How's it going?
We're all good.
Let me ask, because that's actually a good point. When we did episode 1 of this podcast, Unter categorically said, Gator, that your season was way more of a failure than his, considering you were expected to win it all.
Which one? Which season of his?
This one right now, this season.
No, his is way worse. No. Okay, listen. I'll tell you why. First off, we won the midseason easily, like literally dominated. Right?
Won a Mickey Mouse chip.
Hold on. That's not a Mickey Mouse. That's not a Mickey Mouse chip. You know it's not too. It's an international one on land too. All right.
Yeah, on land.
Also, we didn't lose until 2/3 of the way through the season. Right?
Oh.
Literally. And we only lost 4 matches all year.
Did you come 8th?
Yes, but we did lose 2 at the end. Also, okay, but we were okay. Hold. We were 1 fight from throwing the 3rd place team. Like it wasn't. It was bad.
But then you did go 0-2 at playoffs and wind up, going from completely massively undefeated to the biggest disappointment of all time.
Okay, but you said this before. You're the same as me. There's only one winner. So if you're not winning, you've lost.
Yeah, but you lost in
one winner anyway.
Particularly funny way, Like at least when Gladiators went down last year, like we took down Philly Fusion or something, dude. Like we beat up on some Mickey Mouse team from overseas. Like you couldn't even do that, bro.
Yeah, that is fair. Okay, I can't argue that. I can't argue that. No, but Gladiators this year was way worse.
Yeah, I was going to say, surely there's a lot more to say about Gladiators too.
Okay,
that was pretty fun.
The operating cost for Los Angeles Gladiators was more than Atlanta Reign this year, and I know for a fact it was. So all I'm saying is that is significantly more pathetic. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Operating costs, dude. Like,
it's true.
They're
it
in
is
fucking
true.
Playa Vista in California. They're in this like ridiculously expensive Silicon Beach fucking suburb.
Yeah, and everyone in Atlanta buys their own housing.
Literally.
Yeah, all the players, all the staff.
You just had a bunch of like underrated gems who had it rough. They were living borderline on the streets on Atlanta Reign, and they were still able to post these incredible mid-season results.
I'm just
Mickey Mouse chip, by the way.
I'm just saying.
I'm not.
All I'm saying is you had to crack at every single player I got, and you had the money. And you had the money to get them, but instead you chose. Well, I'm not saying you did, but
You just like pointed the finger at me as if I personally single-handedly constructed the Gladiators roster for 23.
All I'm saying is every player that Glad's got in the off season was not even on my list. So.
Ooh.
Stop oohing! It's like a fucking peanut gallery back there. Like, oh my god.
I feel like it adds to the ambiance.
They were like not even top 5, any of them. So, just saying.
Yeah. But in hindsight, maybe Dante was a top 5 tank because look what happened to the fucking team when he got cut. Jesus Christ.
That is true. Unironically.
That's true.
He might have been a hidden gem on the roster.
Gator also cut Dante before the World Cup started.
And paid the iron price, dude.
Dante's
Like,
the key.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you do that. That's what happens.
It's crazy that you didn't learn the lesson, you know? You damaged that one league wipe away, and it's all over, dude.
Should we start with the World Cup then? Because I feel like Atlanta's going to be a significant chunk of this. Should we start with
World Cup's way shorter,
USA? So you get to the event, everything is going your way. Everyone scrim bucks for Atlanta through, not Atlanta, for USA through the roof.
Yeah.
Nothing could go wrong. So where did it go wrong?
Everything goes wrong.
I pretty much what went wrong was the lights got a little too bright. I mean, if I'm being real, there wasn't much else to it. We were just dominating in scrims. It was one of those things to where it was the same thing in Atlanta. There was days to where we would scrim Gladiators and we were like, well, there's literally nothing to learn from that. They won maybe 2 team fights. Right? So we're literally, okay, I guess, guys, let's go eat. Like, we already talked about the few mistakes, the few things in between the maps or in between rounds. Let's pack it up and go home. Like, there's really nothing else to it, you know? So that's literally the situation we were in. It was actually just mostly not competitive. Every scrim was literally not competitive. We would end scrims 5 maps in because we just only thought we were helping the enemy team. Roll around to Saudi, and you know, I guess it's just a well-oiled, well-coached machine that we went up against. I guess there's nothing else to it. They're just that good. Like, I don't really know. Like, I can tell you why we lost. I don't really want to attack players, especially since it's off season and like who had a bad game or whatever.
Right, there are no employers in the call. Nobody watches this podcast. Attack the
No, I
players.
know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying we had some bad games, and I think we weren't on some comfort picks, and there was some varying opinions on what we needed to do, and just some bad calls made from just whatever. We just didn't play that well. Honestly, there really wasn't much else to it. On top of Saudi, Saudi was not a trash team. Like that was probably the luckiest meta they could have got just about as well.
So it was a coach gap, basically, is what you're saying, you know?
I mean, at the end of the day,
Willy V gap?
you have to. Okay,
Probably a Willy V gap.
Any way you slice it, you have to blame the coaches. No matter what, it's how it works. Like, it is my fault. Like, there's nothing else to it. In hindsight, there's many of the other decisions that could have been made to make that better. Unter, I saw you say the thing where you're like, oh, we should have played Super versus that one, and then Clues versus that. Obviously, yes. Like, trust me, everything was talked about and thought of in the moment, and there was a lot of agreement amongst the team and everybody of what we thought gave us the best chance on that day. So.
Oh boy. So it was all Kaluja's fault, basically, is what I'm hearing.
No, I think no, it was not just his fault at all.
Hydron too?
If you were to power rank,
you're fishing right now. It was really a team. It was just a team loss. If I'm being honest, I don't think anyone.
Loss.
No, I swear to God, I'm telling you, there wasn't one person that was just blatantly throwing. I think. I think I have a very high expectation for Tank, so it's very maybe it's a little bit unfair sometimes, but I think Koreans are the same. They think the same way as me about what's expected from a tank, and
words.
So, I mean, literally total leadership in every aspect of the game. I think that's what they expect, and that's what I expect from that role as well. So I think if you're not dictating the pace of the game, if you're not in between team fights, VOD reviewing and telling your team exactly what to do, given everything that's given, then you're not doing your job. Literally, I think your role is mechanically easier, so you should be willing to sacrifice some mechanics to make everybody else play better. No, so I think that's kind of that's like part of it. And then I just think we didn't have enough time to practice as well. I think we were in a little bit of a bubble. If I'm being honest, dude, I'm not joking. We spent
time to practice.
Bro. No, we didn't play SIG until we showed up in LA at all. We only played Arista comps. No joke.
We're playing Arista the whole time.
The whole time. Ask Landa. We were playing. He was because he helped us a lot. For the B team.
You scrim a single European team?
We scrimmed Finland, and they didn't win one team fight in 6 maps, or some shit like that. Like it was not competitive. It was a high ping scrim, and it was kind of just bullshit. And they were playing Ryan at the time too, so it was a waste of time. And then there really wasn't much other teams. It's like awkward scrims where everybody wanted to split times and scrim at weird times, and a lot of the players couldn't because they had to scrim weird times and our guys couldn't. So it was really awkward to get those scrims.
Under-practiced. Coach Gator cites a rift in in-game leadership as the reason why the team lost.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think that's clued. I think that goes for anybody on the roster.
I see.
As well.
I see.
I don't think
a lot of quiet players on the team.
No,
especially when the lights get bright.
So this is what happens.
Those backstage lights.
This is how I feel. Like if you want to win big games and you want to win a championship, you need to be willing to mid-fight or after fight to like make the fucking call that nobody else wants to make. Like you have to make the call. You have to like be willing to stick your fucking neck out there and be wrong. And I think a lot of teams, as in USA, we didn't really have a lot of players on game day willing to make the call and be wrong. So we end up doing nothing. For instance, on that first map versus Saudi, that was probably the worst way to lose you could ever lose in an Overwatch game, is sitting in the back of the fucking map 3 fights in a row when you have point control and literally AFKing behind the point while they get point cap, right? And we had so many win conditions, and we had talked about it where we had, let's say we had B or Sigil or whatever, and there's so many times where in between the fight, nobody's making the call to go forward or make a play or do anything. It was just all passive, just like honestly just beta gameplay, and you're just not going to win playing like that. So there's really nothing else to it. I think at the end of the day, on game day, I think that the testosterone just dropped 90%. So I don't really know what else. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that like the leadership is a huge deal in like all of these mirror matchups. You know, not talking about the China match, but like I do feel like you actually you know there's like a reasonable chance that with Super In, you know, you could have had a better result versus KSA. You know, whether it's a win or taking maps. Because I watch some of these matchups sometimes, and you know, not to name names, but like you can really see the difference when you've got like a vocal tank versus a mechanically skilled tank in these mirrors, you know, where it's like so much of this rush, it's like push and pull, trading cooldowns, timing, like playing off ults and whatnot. Like it's the macro game more so than like, are you going to hit that one singular left click when everyone is basically standing in your face anyway and easy to hit? So like obviously, you know, if you're playing one of the DPS characters, your mechanics matter a lot. But I think on Sigma in this matchup, like really, it's not a test of your mechanics. It's more a test of your macro understanding. And you know, it really helps if you can open your mouth while you do that too. You control other people.
Yeah, it's agreed. I think so. There was a lot of issues, and there's you know, you can always I'll take the blame on it as a whole, because any way you look at it, there's a lot of things that could have done different or put different people in. You know, the whole point is you're supposed to foresee these issues, regardless of if you're going against the majority. That's just literally your job. You're supposed to do that. And any way you look at it, like I didn't. So it is what it is, kind of thing. So yeah, I think definitely some regrets with that, if I'm being honest, because I really think we should have won that tournament. Like I don't think any reason we should have lost that tournament. I mean, you guys saw the leaked screenshots of the fucking scrim after we played Saudi. Like it wasn't close. And then there was just a big
one time.
Huh?
We scrimmed you one time and it was horrific. Like it wasn't even remote.
Yeah, no, and that's how I know. By the way, when we scrimmed you guys, we thought that was one of the closest scrims. We actually kind of watched a lot of that shit back over. Like, oh, that was actually. We actually thought, we were like, oh, you guys are maybe not that bad. Like, you know, because you're our first scrim early in the morning, and we literally I think we lost quite a lot of fights in that scrim. I don't even know if we lost maps, but we lost a lot of fights. So we were like, damn. Okay, well, still we were like, damn, like you know, it's not that bad. So yeah, I mean, that's how scrims go, and then you know, you're riding high. And then you show up on game day and you get punched in the mouth by Saudi, and then all the confidence lost. It's kind of you know, it's a bit different. It's a different mindset. I mean, Unter, you've been in Atlanta where we would lose, and then we go to lower bracket or something, but nothing changed. If anything, we're just like now we're just running it down even more. Like if any, you know what I mean? Like, you don't just start playing like pussies in the back of the map just because you lost the match, you know, or a map.
Was there like a big shock after you lost that game to Saudi? Like, did you guys really expect to win, and then everyone was like boomed after you lost it? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like the
Yeah.
opposite of an Atlanta being knocked into lower bracket. You know, it's like
It's
Atlanta
opposite.
gets knocked into lower bracket, and it's like, it's just another day at the office.
No, you do knock down lower bracket, and you're like, oh, those kids are absolute
Oh, we
fucking
lost.
pussies. Like they're actually such fucking nerds. Like the only reason they won is because some bullshit. They can go fuck themselves. We played them again right now, they'd get shit on, right? But that's not the mindset. Like that's just not how it is. It's not the thought process. That thought process was like a wounded, beaten dog walking around as a stray. You know, that's kind of like it was different. You know, and that matters, man. Like it really does. Like the culture and mindset matters a lot. So, and you know, any way you can look at it, that can all come back to me. So I think it was just kind of like a failure in that aspect. So, I mean, I guess so.
Man, at least it's like the only crushing loss you've had this year as an overwhelming favorite in the tournament, right? Like it would suck that happened to you twice in the past couple of months.
That is true. That is true. That you know the Spark one is brutal. The Spark one is brutal. The Spark one is brutal because me and Hawk knew what we needed to do to win, and every other person is begging us not to do it. Every other person is begging us. Every other person is begging us not to do it. You know
what was the solution? What was the solution?
So we played Spark, and as you saw, Team Korea lost to them in the dive as well, right? Same team.
Yep.
Now they had the god two of tanks on their team. They have the two best tanks in the world. So there's no fucking way they would lose that mirror, obviously. So we played map 1 versus Spark, and we should not have won that map. Like we won the map, but we should not have won it. It was very close, and there was honestly, I felt like they actually played better. Went into map 2, and we're like, oh my god, like we kind of won that map. We won it. We're up 2-0, but this is really fucking sweaty. Like for Spark in the dive mirror. After map 2, I had Hawk go warm up on the PC, right? And I was like, you're fucking playing map 5, like if it goes to this, because I'm beyond real, like this is not like convincing winning. So he spends the next 2 maps 3 and map 4, warming up on Sig, right next to the stage in playoffs, right? And I'm like, if we go map 5, we're picking fucking circuit and we're winning this game real quick with Sig Bastion. Like it's fucking over. We're winning. It's done. I'm not fucking around with this anymore. And then we can play the rest of shit with you, like the Boston Comp versus London, and we'll continue to just roll this tournament. Not done with this bullshit dive, right? We go into map where we lose the other 2 maps, and it's just, oh my god, no, we can't do that. We can't fucking do that. Like, no, we won't win. It's over if we do that. You know, I'm like, oh my god, well. You know, and then Hawk was like, oh, well, fuck it. Just let him have the map 5 dive. Like, we can fucking win it, I guess. Obviously lost it. When we lost that, it was fucking Mental's lost. Because that was the first time Team Korea lost to Team China, right? Like, they didn't think it was possible to lose to China, right, in the dive mirror. Oh, my God. Like, it's not possible. We can never lose to China in the dive mirror. It's not fucking possible. So they lost. And those players have never lost to those players. Like, they always continually beat them up. But that team's actually pretty fucking good in the dive mirror this year. Like, it's actually stacked for that. Like, and Leave and Shy probably had, like, incredible games as well. So that was the first time they were playing against that roster in the full dive mirror when it's not Sombra, right? So the Shy guy actually gets to kind of own, you know?
Yeah.
So there's no gap. Like, you're not really gapping that guy. You can match him, but you're not really gapping him. So now you need to find a gap elsewhere, and it becomes a lot harder. Also, Leave had the game of his life, just hitting. He had an insane pulse bomb rate. So yeah, and then a bunch of other small issues that's kind of like irrelevant. It's whatever. So yeah, I mean, end up they won the map 5, and then we lost it. And there's really not much to say. In retrospect, I wish I would have forced it map 5, because I'm 100% certain we win that, and then we play Boston and we would easily beat them as well. And then that's insta top 4, and then we would play Houston, who we beat the fuck out of the past 2 weeks, the scrims leading up to that, because I thought they were awful. So yeah, I was like, but all because we lose one fight and then we don't pick map 5 or Spark, we go out first round. So it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, it's actually pretty insane how far that roster, both Spark and team from China, I should say.
From China,
yeah. We don't have the money for that copyright.
Basically got infinitely far in both tournaments from just Korean players ego mirroring them.
Oh yeah. No, exactly. Literally. No, actually.
Like,
it's nuts. It's
Boston
actually nuts.
twice, because Boston just said, fuck it, we'll take the mirror. Korea did it. You guys did it. They were like, oh, we'll only practice one comp that isn't meta. You remember last season, not like the season before last, when there was like Washington map 5 matched Harry on Ryan, and there was all of these comments like, why are these teams matching London and Ryan? It's like every team would do it. Spark had the same thing this year. It's just like, oh, it's dive. I'm Korean. Oh, I'm playing dive for sure. It should be no problem, and it was always a problem.
This happened even to Atlanta in 2021 when Atlanta had like the miracle run through lowers in 2021 playoffs. It was kind of the same thing where it was like everyone knew that this like ball zen stuff was meta, you know, like everyone was playing like Gladiators, ball zen, tracer stuff, like they were just winning everything in NA perma, like it was so obviously meta. Shanghai, ball zen, tracer stuff all the time in NA, but everyone just kind of gave up on it and was like, fuck it, Ryan is easier, we're probably going to get further in the tournament playing Ryan. So even though the hardest counter to Ryan ever was meta, everyone just wound up squaring up in a Rush Mirror versus Atlanta Reign. Everyone was like, Ryan Rush, this is our way to get deep into the bracket. So then you've got Washington Justice, dive team, just getting fucking fisted in a Ryan Mirror. Maybe shocked they didn't have as convincing of a case to be a fucking Ryan team. But it was even Dallas Fuel, they played Ryan until the very last map when, you know, it's Fearless on fucking Wrecking Ball for Dorado, and Gator's just, you know, he's so bad at ball that he wins the match doing it. But overall,
I dominated.
You tried to grapple into a fight and you missed the grapple, so you accidentally.
That was one time. That was one time.
That was one game-winning play by being bad at ball, man. Like,
yeah, and it worked, didn't it? It worked, didn't it?
Yeah, it did work. So I can't really refute you there. You know, all that time that you refused to spend practicing ball, it actually paid incredible dividends, more than you actually did. Hero ever could have.
Absolutely did.
Yeah, it can happen though. But yeah, I don't know. Teams just love to square up in their comfort mirror, even though the comfort mirror is like clearly not going to win versus a better team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Fuck the matter.
Yeah.
So then, if we stick with Atlanta, we stick with playoffs. How was the mood for you guys when you knew that you had to play against us? Because from what I remember in scrims, I think you guys had a better win rate than loss rate. Like, I don't think the scrims were one-sided, but we scrimmed you like 2 or 3 times. I feel like it must have been like, I mean, X probably has the exact stats. I would say it was like 60-40 to Atlanta, our scrims we had versus you. Like, were you confident going into it? Or did like the Spark game, like, kind of similar to what it did to USA, just beating dog mode?
I was not confident, and our Koreans were talking about what to do versus Boston 20 minutes before we went on stage, because they were so confident it was going to be a quick 3-0.
Well, it was.
That is so.
It was. I'm being very serious when I say this. During our warm up, we were doing the warm up, and I'm like, oh guys, we need to focus like on London. We need to play. We're going to play versus London. Like, we need to be focused on this. I don't want to fucking hear anything about Boston. I don't want to fucking stop talking about. I literally told them, like, we need to stop talking about Boston. And then someone's like, oh, we're not worried about London. Like, we need to make sure we're ready for Boston. I'm like, you guys really play a fucking Rhine team in like 30 minutes on stage, right? You realize that, right? And then what's funny is we went Tracer Genji in the warm up, and then me and Hawk were telling them that if you go this, you will lose. You cannot win playing that. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Like, what the fuck are you on Tracer Genji for in 2023 versus a fucking Ryan retake? And in the match, we literally win it. It was one of those things to where, there was varying opinions, and it's hard to convince delusions as well. So when everyone really truly believes they're going to win with this, I know how to beat the fucking Rhine, and it's just it's unfortunate that we didn't play any of that. So
what would you have played?
I would have played more poke. I would have played more poke shit. Also, if we're gonna play Doom, Hawk would have played. Like, Hawk gets kills on Doom. He's not playing just to live. He's not playing ping pong Doom. Like, he would literally one tap like your BAP or someone. You know, he would actually find a kill, because that's like what he's really good at. But no, we should have just played more poke shit. But instead, we were trying to hard dive it and play for like nano shit. You know, we didn't do Pharah, we didn't do Echo, Ash, or any of that kind of shit. So it's just kind of
What happens after map 1 then, where it all starts to go wrong? Is there like a confidence loss then going into the rest of the
No,
maps?
It wasn't even there. You know, sad is there wasn't even a lot of tilt or confidence loss. It was the first time I'd seen this team. They're kind of like felt a lot like they felt a bit defeated. I'm telling you when I say, I'm not joking when I say this, they were still hung up on the China on the China loss, not the spark loss, like losing to China in the dive mirror. They're still hung up on that. Like it was the worst possible loss we could have had in the first round. Would be losing. If we lost to a Sig Bastion team, I actually think that'd been really good for us first round. Like we could have got fucked up by that, and then we could have just played Sig and the rest of the tournament and been done. But the fact that we barely lost a dive mirror, it was just like hurting their souls, and it just, I think it actually just fucked them mentally, and it was kind of hard to pull them out of it. I think it really was. And
they were just thinking about an honest dive mirror versus Boston for the next match.
no, they really
got fucking dive matchups on the mind. The second they lose the China one, it's like, we need to get better at dive. You know, we're the best dive team in the world. This can't happen, guys. Like,
no. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
To be honest, I think like Ryan Comp is one of those things where it's like Overwatch 1, Overwatch 2, like historically people, especially like, you know, Overwatch League, because everyone is like such a dive purist at the top. Like so many teams just underrate the Ryan comp, don't respect the Ryan comp. You know, they don't give it adequate prep. They think that like Gladiators had this problem too, mind you. Like I'm not saying this is like something that we didn't have, but you know, they literally roll into the match and be like, oh, we'll just pick diver heroes and it'll work. You know, like we'll play.
Yeah, especially in Overwatch 2, where it's a lot easier to play than in Overwatch 1. Like when you're playing Rush in Overwatch 2, you can actually just do nothing and win. Like you can literally do less and win. In Overwatch 1, there's the 2 tanks, and there was so much more poke. The off tank would always play fucking Sig or some stupid shit. They always played a comp where they'd actually make you have to rush. Like you had to go. You can't actually do nothing. You literally had to fucking rush. But now you can do literally nothing and win. And they just don't understand. They never understood that concept. And we tried to explain this to them when we started playing the poke mirror, and we were considering playing the Sig Bastion shit, and we could have got good at it, but we didn't really give it much of a chance. But when we were playing it, my guys never could just literally, I couldn't break them out of the mindset of doing nothing and like playing like it's Val. Like they actually didn't understand just not fucking going in first. You know what I mean though? Like Unter, you've worked with a lot of Koreans, like you know how they think. Like they actually, you can't break their way of thinking. It's actually crazy. It's actually unbelievably like hard to break their stubbornness on the ways they think.
I do have a question for the let's call them the other panelists, you know, our hosts. Do you think that like from like the London perspective, do you think that you actually benefited like really, really massively from teams refusing to scrim London throughout the year and teams just constantly disrespecting you and being like, fuck, you guys are the Ryan morons, like we're not going to play against you because you're Ryan dog shit? Because I guess I'll get your opinion and then I'll give mine if it conflicts.
I think like last year especially, it felt like a certain number of teams gave us more respect. Like for Shock, Florida, Houston would scrim us quite a lot. And eventually it felt like they'd solved it. They were teams we thought, even if we played well, it was still really hard for us to win. Whereas this year, a lot of them felt winnable. But even like those scrims we had against Atlanta, I think I looked it up, we won 3 out of 10 maps. Some of those maps were not remotely close. It still felt super hard to win.
Hawk was playing in those scrims.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He was playing Doom in those scrims, and he was.
You guys are playing Doom Echo Surgeon. What happened to that?
A good combat.
What happened to the counter comp to Ryan?
The thing is, here's what
hold on one second. Also, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that happens to players and people and shit where that does matter as well. It's not always just this guy didn't play for this, because this happened like with Atlanta. Like at some point, Bidgie, I don't know if you see this. Nobody ever knew this, but when we won the midseason, he lost his passport and he literally couldn't come back to Atlanta, and we actually kind of needed him because we had a couple of double flex maps, and we lost to Toronto playing the fucking Brig Genji shit. But we actually hadn't lost that map all year long. We hadn't lost that map once with Vigi on Zen. Well, guess what? We lose that map in the match, and then everyone's, oh my god, why the fuck isn't Vigi playing? Well, because the guy lost his passport. It's not as simple as that. And I didn't care to explain and flame him on fucking Twitter because he lost his passport and he literally couldn't play, right? So, and there's a lot of other reasons why people don't play, but yeah. So, I mean, that does factor in for that kind of stuff.
You know, some people just refuse to respect their teammates, so it's kind of like an okay, no play situation. You know what I mean?
True too.
Yeah. My feeling is that what every team should have done across the last 2 years was every time they scrimmed us, and they should book like 1 or 2 scrims a week and just prepare a full anti-Rhine strategy and just use that scrim for that and say, okay, fuck it, we're not practicing for our game this week. We're just practicing in case we have to play London. Because what would happen is teams would just play against us and just get punched in the mouth because they've never once considered it until the day before. And I think that was like, I mean, I made the same mistakes sometimes where I would be like, oh, this team's been this comp, but we don't play against that this week, so maybe it's like it's not an issue. And we were just like, I'll focus on that. But I think because we were so unique that it would have been good for every team to have a little bit of confidence on how to beat it. I'll also say that, in my opinion, maybe even across the entire 2 years, the amount that we learned from those two or three scrims versus you and the improvements we made, I actually think that was some of the best progress we ever made as a team, to the point where I actually think that our system and how we played against you guys in the official was so much better than it was in scrims that, in my opinion, no dive team in the world could have beaten us with our the way we had figured out that Rhine comp by the end of playoffs. I think that, especially compared to the season before, I think that our level of play in playoffs at the end of last season was the highest it ever been. And I'm super convinced it was impossible to dive versus us with the way that we eventually kind of unlocked the sim and really figured out how to play it. I think we had so much confidence going into the Atlanta game, even though we'd lost the scrims, because X and Unter will know, but our cum cycle circles or whatever it was that we always do.
So big on cum, dude. Just
okay, but think about this though. Think about this. This is why it was so hard to beat Shanghai years back when they played dive is. You should how we thought about it is when we were booking the scrims with you, we were surprised you're willing to book, actually, because we thought that only helped us significantly more, which it did, right? Playing versus your stuff. And by the end of those 2 scrims, we thought we had a really good idea of how to beat it. And we actually remember specifically saying, we're going to hide this, we're not going to think too much about the rollout, just literally roll out main so that they think that's what we would do, right? Don't fucking do anything to try to counter. Don't do anything rollouts starting out. Don't do anything specifically for run. Roll out literally main with this comp, and we still won, right? And we're like, oh my god, okay, we're good. We'll beat them, because we also knew we had map pick. So we said, oh, we'll pick Ilios. We'll pick a proper comp, proper poke comp, and we should be Ilios easily if we play well, right? With Echo, easily we should easily win it, without a doubt. And then at that point, they're kind of fucked, because now they have to win, 2 of our map picks. When you get the first map pick, that's how it works. But at some point, there was a very varying opinions in how to beat, and there was a lot of forgetting of what worked, a month ago, not a month, 2 weeks ago, and at some point Hawk pretty much just got taken out completely, and there's no reason he was not playing the entire playoffs. There's a reason. I mean, I put him in as a last ditch effort versus you guys, and I mean, as you saw, you remember that last map. At that last map, that last map versus you guys, he was pretty much the only guy talking. It was really sad, and I felt like I kind of failed him in that. He should have played the whole playoffs, and I should have essentially told the rest of them to go fuck themselves, and he's playing. That's literally what should have happened. There's just nothing else to it. That's on me, and I feel like I kind of fucked him over, and he waited around all year for his chance, and I could have given it to him, and I didn't. So I honestly feel bad about that. It was kind of his last thing in Overwatch League, and yeah, I mean, honestly, I just feel bad about not giving that to him. But our whole plan changed and shit, and he got fucked, honestly, and we lost. I genuinely believe we lost because Hawk did not play. I really believe that we lost the entire playoffs because he did not play.
I'm gonna be real with you. Oh, did you have
And
something?
I'm the only person. I'm kind of, if I'm being honest, I'm the only person on our team who thinks he's a good player, though. Like they're just delusional. He's the white tank, so he's trash. Like there's really
Yeah, I mean,
nothing else there.
he's like the best Western tank.
I know.
People think that he's shit. Like it's so
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, and what's crazy is he actually tries so fucking hard, and in most metas, he'll literally lead. He'll actually, I'm not joking. I've gotten him to the point to where, he will literally call everything in between fights. Like
No, I
where
mean,
to play, where to
I
play.
can
It's
see, I can
actually
see it.
nice. Like,
I've heard it
yeah.
at this point. You know,
Yeah, no,
having
you've heard
having
it.
seen
Yeah.
some Atlanta VODs in the postseason.
Yeah.
You know, seeing him play on his flash ops team, stuff like that. I really see he's like
Even
a
there, he's
full-blown
very
leader at this point.
he's very relaxed in that team as well. Like
Yeah.
because he's been moving and shit. But I'm telling you, like, there's just absolutely no reason he was not playing the entire playoffs. And yeah, it's just unfortunate.
It's like, mate, I just skimmed your VOD from this London match, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Like from Chris's perspective, that like London progressed massively by scrimming you guys, by scrimming Florida, like in those basically in that week or two leading up to it. Because I remember like there were so many times where it's like the problem was like if you played Doom, Sojourn, Echo, I don't think the supports mattered that much, but if you played Doom, Sojourn, Echo, it was really, really, really fucking easy to win as that team. You know,
Yeah.
like. The ult cycle was crazy. The Sojourn's like a big threat in the neutral, like a really, really, really good comp. But like Ilios, I think honestly, like you need to play different counters. You know, on Ilios, that can be a Rhine map. Genuinely, like it's not that easy to play the Doom Surgeon Echo stuff because it's like big open map for one of them and whatnot. And then Blizzard World, like it's a bit of a 50-50, but I think you know winnable for you. But then Flashpoint, like honestly, I think Flashpoint, like the Rhine comp is just hard better. You know, like through practice, like,
you
scrims
play
at that,
Orisa.
like the.
We should be playing Orisa there, like Orisa Bastion.
I mean, had you played the Boston
so
comp,
broken though.
had you played the Boston comp, gotten some
Flashpoint.
practice in, you would have won. You know.
No, seriously, no. I know.
We only lose to Boston.
I
We
actually
beat other
disagree
Orisa
with a lot of
teams.
this.
No.
Yeah. You guys.
I mean, don't you think if they got some practice in on that Orisa comp that they would have been like same level as Boston?
Boston is not good.
Boston, I'm so convinced of it.
No, Boston is not. No, no.
They went Boston comp. They went Boston comp at third point. And they almost capped on Blizzard World, like just doing nothing. But dude, Lip didn't play Sojourn for 2 maps. Lip didn't play Sojourn until the best Rhine sim map of the 3 in the pool. Like he played Soldier to counter Rhine on Blizzard World. Like, does Lip have a fucking hole in his head, dude? Like, I'm just skimming through this VOD looking at the comps, and it's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, why is he playing Soldier? Like, at any point. He sees a Rhine, and he's like, yeah, Soldier.
You know why? It's because there was
one shot.
Right here, there was a 1/3 like chip of their brain that was continually thinking about losing to Shrine in the dive mirror the day before.
It's like you didn't play Junkrat on Lighthouse. You didn't play Junkrat or Pharaoh on Lighthouse. Like you know that London just stands on the point AFK like a bunch of fucking bots, and you played Genji on fucking Lighthouse. Like what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like you guys actually just griefed this game. You got Donghak playing Doom on 2 out of 3 points on the map, and he's
yeah, I know.
You fucking suck. Holy shit.
I mean, any way you look at it though, like that's all my fault for not like forcing it or like.
But they should drag your corpse through the street, dude. Like you really let these boys down.
I mean,
especially poor Donghak.
Any way you look at it, I could have made Hawk play, and he was more than happy to as well. So that's on me. Any way you slice it.
Do you think was it a problem of not having him play as much during the season? Like if he played more during the season, had more time to integrate, or convince his teammates he's actually good?
You know what's funny is I told him this. I actually think that you know it's all every team that loses always has a reason or oh my god if this happened we would have won. You know how that shit works, right? Every motherfucker that loses thinks if we just did this we would have won, right? But I actually seriously think that if we didn't have Donghak, we would have suffered more at the beginning of the season and we wouldn't have been as dominant. But for the second half of the season, I actually think we would have been significantly better. I think we would have been a better version of Mayhem by then. But I think the fact that it was so awkward to start sliding him in, and you got to realize these guys, their English isn't great, but the whole point was they're supposed to be practicing it, but there was almost no room for them to practice English comms. There was no room for Hawk to play. It's really hard to kind of come in and just start leading randomly day 2 in scrims. And you like we only had 10 days to practice. You know, I even considered getting a Korean player for that Zarya meta if that was going to be a thing, just for a quick patch fix. You know, it was just it felt like as the Somber Monkey thing was going away, we were always in this continually like win now situation. And it felt like the whole season we were using 5 ults to win the next fight, but the next fight we're fucked situation. We're always the win now, and I really feel like it caught up to us. Like it really fucked us. This like the last 1/3 of the season.
How was it coaching a team that comes in full Korean?
It wasn't bad. Like it's pretty easy to understand. They actually speak a lot of English as well, and it's pretty easy to catch on to what they're saying. Like, it's really not that hard. But I think it's not that much different. It's just the culture is different. It's not the language barrier. It's the culture. The language barrier is like whatever, and they all speak good. The second they turn around from their chairs, they're all speaking somewhat okay English, right? And it's just the daily glass is half empty like mindset all day long, every single day. And I think that kind of wore them down over the course of the season as well. I used to think that, so this is why I think Krusty and 9K are cool for this. I remember them telling me and saying that they think mixed roster is actually like pretty much the highest peak of Overwatch you can get sometimes. And it's because of the culture mix. And I kind of get that now, where if you have I really think that if this team had a couple Western players on it that were players playing consistently, that there would be a lot less pressure and a lot less like seriousness in the room every single day. So I think a lot of these full Korean teams kind of like broke down. Is there's just too much. It's like so serious and honestly just very unfun environment. And I'm telling you, 2/3 of the way through the season, I was booking 3-block days every day, and it got to the point to where they actually started asking me, "Oh my God, can we stop doing so much 3-block days?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I thought you guys were corporate drones. Like, what the fuck you asked me not to do 3-block? Like, early in the season, you were asking me to do more. What the fuck you asking me to do less now?" And they literally just got burnt out, like depressed, sad. We would 6-0 a team, and they'd be fucking molding after the scrim. I'm not joking you. Think about that. I'm not even trying to be funny. I swear to God, I'm not trying to. No, I'm not even trying to be funny.
We shouldn't have lost that fucking fight, dude.
We would 5-1 a scrim, and I swear to God, it was like our season just ended. Like, they got knocked out of playoffs after the scrim, and I'm like, oh my God, like what's guys? Like, I was like, we didn't do bad. And this one time, I remember right after the scrim ended one time, and I was like, all right, guys, like, not bad. I was like, honestly, that wasn't bad. Like, we fucked up that one map. We beat the fuck out of them on 5 maps. We fucked up one map, and it was some weird shit they played. Like, let's come back. I would have them take like a 10-minute break, and I was like, oh, let's come back and we'll pull this shit up on the big TV and we'll watch it. And they're like, not bad? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, it wasn't bad. And they're like, oh no. Like, they're all like freaking the fuck out. I'm like, bro, it really was like just panicking. And that's like the mindset, and is every single day. That glass.
How many scrims?
Huh?
How many scrims do you think you lost this year?
I'm not joking when I say this. There was a stretch where we didn't lose to a scrim for like 3 months. I'm not even trying to be funny. I've been on good teams and I've seen good teams. I've seen the I've always generally been the underdog team, but I've seen like the peak shocks and the peak this. Those teams lose scrims. It's not normal to win every scrim. This team literally won every fucking scrim and match for like 3 to 4 months straight. I'm not joking. And it wasn't even close.
Do you look at that period and think that's actually where you lost the season?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. We're win now. We're win now. Yeah. Everything was win now, and I'm telling you, it caught up to us. It fucked us hard.
Yeah, because obviously in London, no matter how good we got, we were never like winning the majority of scrims versus the big teams. Like, even in our peak, especially if we ever got like a good week of scrims, we were still losing more than we were winning. But I remember on season 3 Fusion, we were like pretty dominant. Like, I think we only lost like 3 regular season games. Our scrim win rate was like 70-80%. Like, that was by far the best team I'd ever been a part of. But because that was like hero bans and stuff, every week we were just prepping for a meta. But was there not a point upon hindsight now where you guys were like, we literally know how to play Winston Sombra Tracer, we should figure out a way to incorporate the other guys or like learn other stuff in case it comes around like in the future?
That's not how they thought. The team was a win now, as 2 players just got. So you think about it, 2 players just got done winning the world championship, right? And they come to this team, and other players have won too. And they come to this team, and you're literally just beating the fuck out of everybody. You're not losing scrims for months and months and months. We had one little hiccup in the little preseason thing, but that was honestly just like, we weren't even like upset. We're like, whatever, it's fucking preseason. And they pulled out Brig, and we knew that we kind of knew Brig was better, but we just wanted to play Lucio for fun. Like, literally what happened there. And after that, it was just domination once we started playing Break. Because, I mean, she was nuts at Break. There's no reason to play it. And then from then on out, it was just domination. And there was no, it was put it this way. It was the same kind of thing where we're up 5-0 in a scrim. And I'm like, hey, guys, let's do this. Like, we should try this. Let's play Ryan here on like a fucking control center, right? Like let's play something different, right? Like, what's the big fucking? No, we can't. We need to win. We need to win like right now. Like, if we don't win, like my life is falling apart. And it's a good mindset. I swear to God, it's like a good mindset, but that's not sustainable over the course of 8 months. Even it's not. It's I swear to God, it's not. It's actually not. Like, if this was a tournament cycle team, it'd be really good. But that's just like not sustainable. And I'm telling you, it kind of just slowly went downhill where it became more and more obvious that Hawk needed to play, but he was just absolutely not integrated within the team at all. And that's everybody's fault. That's my fault. That's his fault. That's the Koreans' fault. It's everybody's fault. But it was one of those things to where I was significantly more integrated with them than he was, which was like not good. Like, that's bad. It's not really ideal. Like, I shouldn't be hanging out and talking to them more than he is, right? And that's just like it was hard. It was like that's not really how it should have been. Like, it really should have been the opposite, literally. So it just became hard to kind of integrate him. And then it also was like a little bit of a weird environment where they would come to me with concerns about players or about him rather than just telling him. And I'm like, guys, just fucking tell him. Like, he's not a bitch. Like, just tell him what you need him to do, right? And it was working. Like, it was improving, but it wasn't improving fast enough. And we just honestly just needed more time. Like, I really think we needed a month's practice, not 2 weeks practice going into playoffs. There's nothing else to it. Like, we literally just weren't ready, honestly. And Unter, you've been on teams with the Koreans. When they have their mindset on something, you saw Pelly.
No, I was gonna bring up the Pelly. I was gonna bring up like the Pelly Volskaya ball Sombra thing.
We would have to throw a fucking scrim just so he could see it, so he would stop fucking talking about it, and we could move on. I remember literally saying, okay, we'll play it. And I sat right next to him, and I'm like, I will try my hardest for whatever bullshit you have in your brain. It's going to work. I will fucking do it. I will try. But I know it's not going to work.
Every Ryan mirror for months. And then he'd come in fucking furious because we lost a scrim on a day where he was tired and he didn't talk and didn't fucking do anything. And he'd be furious and he'd be like, Gator needs to play like Mag. Hawk needs to play like fucking Fury or whoever it was. Like, we're doing everything wrong here. It's like, bro, all we do is shit on this team in the mirror. And apparently we're bad at the mirror now. Apparently you need to play like your mate Mag, who you fucking join Discord with and laugh with after scrims every day. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, there's just no way. There's just no fucking way that you think this is the way to go about it. Like, Dallas and fucking Washington, there's like hard W key brain dead rush teams always fucking pushing like morons, and apparently that was how we needed to fucking play it. Like, no way. No fucking way. Actually unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think Korean teams are significantly more susceptible to exploding and having low lows than Western teams. I think Western teams like significantly more too. For like
there's like a couple of over the course of like the past few seasons, there's been like a couple of like, call them cultural figures on different teams where it's like it's usually just like this one Westerner dude that is just like insanely fun. Put it that way, you know? They're just like actually fucking crazy for the team culture, you know? Like, they're the intersect of talented at something and really fucking fun to play with. And they just make like the team environment a completely different thing, you know? Like, you see it in some of like the listen-ins or like spotlights on players throughout the years and stuff like that. I won't name names. His name might come up in the quiz because, you know, it happens in every quiz. But you know, there are players that have been like really, really important to their teams and like hugely influential to the success of the team and like a big part of the team culture. And you take out these people that are like, you know, fun and important for the team culture and important to keep people going through that like 8-month long slog of shit of playing the game and being miserable all the time. And suddenly the teams collapse. You know, they can have all the talent in the world, but they're just missing like that one little fucking secret ingredient to actually make them truly great, you know, for it to actually be a good time for everyone, you know? It's like you're playing video games for a living. Like, if you can't enjoy yourself while doing it, you're probably not going to win.
That's literally what happened to us. Like, there's nothing else other than that. Literally, it was caught up to us. It just caught up to us.
Yeah.
They're trying to win now.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
the
like,
main reason I like hate what Krusty and 9K said about mixed teams, because I'm convinced it can't even remotely be true. Like when I built London, I made it a hard rule that we had the ability to get Koreans if we wanted to. I was like, no, I think we need to do full Western, because I think, like you said, like it's so like I was on 3 seasons of like mixed teams on Philly, and it was like, you can't stop the Korean mafia. They will just eventually take over, or they will just we had such a massive problem in like even in season 3 when everything was going well, just between scrims, after scrims, they would just stop talking Korean, and it was like, this is so bad for the team culture.
So
I understand why you do it.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but our team, Boston, Outlaws, Mayhem, like the 4 teams that went to Korean shit, the four Korean teams, arguably the 4 best teams right throughout the year, generally speaking. Every single one of those teams, whoever's losing the scrim, is spamming the other team about how shit their team is. Their team is shit. Their team players are like. It blows my mind that this is actually like how these people like think. Like this is like actually they think that's gonna. If you I don't understand. Like they say they want to win so bad, but if you really want to win so bad, you would never do that. I remember I would delusionally tell other people that my teammates are better than they were, just so they would like be scared of them. Like they're like, oh my, I'm like, oh, this guy's fucking crazy like this. I'm like, and before we play them, like, why the fuck would you shit talk your team? And I actually don't understand it. But that's why these teams all just like kind of crumble, I feel like, at certain points in the season, is because they're actually really, really, really toxic. And I think you can get a good environment with a Western team, with like a mixed team, but I think Western teams generally have the best environment by far, and it's not even close. It's just that at that point, sometimes there's a lack of work ethic or care or that kind of thing, if I'm being honest. But or just not enjoying certain metas, because Overwatch also in general has the biggest fucking hard on for making Winston meta. And there's one region in the world that just practices Winston comps all day long, every day for years. And if you're a European tank player, you're not fucking practicing Winston all year long, or in NA too. You know, if you queue Winston in NA off season, all you're gonna get is a Widow Hanzo on your team, and the enemy team is just gonna have every Winston counter in the lobby, and you're just like, it's like not practice, but the other region will practice that. So, I mean, it does kind of matter sometimes for meta. Honestly,
Yeah.
You know, like you can't. It's kind of hard to deny that like what they practice and what they're best at generally is meta 2/3 of the time for some fucking who knows what reason.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's also hard to argue. Like, I fully agree with the majority of the sentiment in terms of like, we've said this before on the podcast, but everyone has this idea of like Korean players about they're just like this elite mentality, and they're like really nice, like innocent people, and the reality is actually
oh no, they're not. Oh no, they're not. Here, how about
Korean teams, and it's like that's really like
it's the opposite. It's the Western players. They're actually really nice and really nice teammates, and they're on Team USA, for instance, not a single person was toxic the entire time. It was actually a genuinely good environment. And if anything, there should have been a little bit more toxicity, if I'm being honest. Like there actually should be more.
Yeah, because whatever you want to say, but unarguably Korean players are the best players and have had by far the most success, and that mindset clearly leads to it. But I also don't think it's like this like perfect environment, and I think that the maybe the pressure they put on themselves, or the way that they talk to teammates, that's why I always think it's really difficult, because I think if a Korean's rude to another Korean, I think especially if one of them is like older or something, then I think it's tolerant, like they take it, because honestly, if you've seen how like an older Korean player is allowed to talk to a younger Korean player, it's like totally culturally acceptable to just like be an absolute fucking dickhead.
I know. I'm aware.
Who's the older player on Atlanta? Who's the dickhead?
There's
Donghak was the youngest player. Think about it that way instead.
Donghak got fucked. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's one of those things to where the first 2 months of the season, I played like therapist. I had to fucking spend hours a day talking to them, just people crying and this and that, and there's just so much it was so much adjustment and helping them. Like Donghak, he came in and bro, he would just I would just see him crying like all the time, and I'd have to just talk to him every day. and everyone's kicking them, but then I gotta be like, yo, like I'm on your side, like I'm telling you, like you're doing good, we're gonna keep getting you there. And he got treated significantly different. Everybody would come in every morning at 12 because the scrim started at 1, and I'd go pick them up at like 11:45. But me and Donghack would show up a lot of the time at 10 or 11, and this was like mandatory for him to show up to start practicing and warming up ranked. Like he had more pressure on him than anybody else. But there's also this balance of, I've seen it a million different times with these Korean main tanks. I mean, you can think of all the different ones on all the different teams. They're always fucking flops because this 18-year-old Korean main tanks, he was 17, just turned 17 too, by the way. Like he's an actual kid. They come in these teams and they actually just get bullied and harassed. They get told they're shit. You're not good enough. Just fucking quit. Don't come back tomorrow. We want somebody else, right? And all that does is lead to them like failing. And I really think that it fucking sucks to be the youngest Korean on a Korean team. Like it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't get it. Like I really don't. Did you guys ever hear the Boston story from Midseason Madness? What happened with their coach?
I heard
you want to hear that one?
but I didn't know what happened.
Oh, here, this is a good one. Oh my god, this is a really fucking good one. Okay,
Go on then.
What was the name again?
Was it
Supreme?
No, was it Dongsu?
Dongsu.
Yeah, the guy with the bad reputation, right?
Okay, so they they showed up to Korea, and after their first loss, their match loss, right? Double Elam bracket. They pretty much what happened was they showed up one day. There was always kind of turmoil. The staff and the players were beefing, and there was a lot of beef back and forth. And pretty much one day, I'm not joking when I say this. In Korea, in that fucking event, they banded together and they were like, "You're done. We're kicking you." The players literally kicked them off the team. They're like, we're done with you. Don't come back. Like, don't come in our room. Don't fucking show up. This is a match day, by the way. And they literally, I'm not joking when I say this. Kalios and Striker ran the dugout. I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. I swear to God.
The dynamic duo.
It's every time.
So they kicked him. Yeah, no, they kicked him, and they did not have a head coach for their match in there. They fucking kicked his ass. All right, like roughly, I'm sure there's some little things here and there, whatever. But this is literally what happened. Don't fucking come back. He got kicked mid-tournament. Right. See, people don't know this. The guy literally got kicked. And I remember this because he specifically came over to the Atlanta thing. We had like the room around the corner, and he asked to talk to Wizard, and Wizard was like, "I don't know why this guy's asking me to talk. Like, I don't know him, bro. Like, why does he want to talk to me?" And I was like, "All right, just go talk to him. No big deal. Whatever." We thought it was gonna be something else, and he comes back in. He's like, "Oh my god!" Like, he was like, "Dude, that guy just came to me asking for advice. He didn't even like. He's like lost. Like, guy's lost in the world. Like, his team just fucking turned on him, and he just came to the enemy team who he doesn't even know is asking for like advice and help." I'm like, this is so fucked up. I'm like, what could possibly be going wrong so bad that these people are literally like kicking their head coach? I don't know who's right or wrong in that situation. I don't really give a fuck.
Probably
both are wrong.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, I'll put money on that too. Actually.
My guess is not him as well. So they literally show up to their match. I'm not joking you, and the guy's just not there. Like, he's just not there. Like, is crazy. And the players were literally running the dugout. The players were picking the maps, who goes in, the subs, everything. Like, they were literally running everything. I'm like, that's like literally how these teams operate. And what's funny is that team at that tournament had the longest fucking line I've ever seen in my life of just fans that put all these players on pedestals. They're the nicest, sweetest people on planet Earth. But in reality, no. Like, yeah. I'm not joking when I say this. I 100% had some of the nicest, like, top tier Koreans, and I'm telling you, I could not imagine working with some of those Boston players. Like, I could not imagine it. Like, it is like, no.
And that was like it was like a team of red flags. It was a team of people who had like a known reputation for just being like really toxic, really unstable, just like consistent problems on their teams. I feel like Smurf is the only person on that whole team that had a good reputation. Smurf and Birdring, sorry.
He had a good reputation. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay, we'll go with that. There's something there.
We'll just go with
that.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, whatever.
I don't know, dude. Lee Jae on Tower has probably done something terrible. I can't even think of anything
Like,
other than his gameplay.
That's why when people ask, oh, how is Lana, like these guys are this or that, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of emotions, and it's more of like it's just like shit that it's kind of like dirty laundry that there's kind of no point airing out. And when you look at it, it's I hear the stories in the other teams, and I'm like, oh my god, like it's actually not that bad. Like, dude, like that's why like I actually appreciate the guys I had. Like I would want to flame them really hard, but there's really no point because they really did, generally speaking, the whole year try really hard. They always respected me and Hawk, at least. Like I think amongst themselves down, that there's a hierarchy how that shit works. Like once you're at the bottom, dong hack, sorry, you get fucked. Like I don't know what to say. Like I just trying to help them as much as I can, kind of thing. But yeah, man, like I could not imagine working with some of these other teams. It's and that's why they have such low lows. Like Boston would show up to a scrim one day and they're actually a top 4 team, and the next time you scrim them, they're just not worth scrimming.
I think one thing about like the whole Korean, really like, I don't know if you want to call it like toxic, intense mindset, it produces like for sure it produces like all of the top level talent, like anyone that is like absolutely the best from that region, they've probably like been through that at some point, like,
Yeah.
I feel like all the classic like Korean head coaches, like the really famous ones, they are like insanely harsh on players, like they've all had moments except for maybe 9K, but I feel like all of these like classic well-known Korean head coaches, like they all have like a reputation for being like insanely fucking harsh.
They're really harsh, and then they're easy on the Westerners on the team.
Yeah, I guess so.
Generally speaking, that's kind of that's kind of like the mindset of how they do it, and it works. It actually works pretty well.
I do think that like even if it makes the top talent, it also makes like the hardest booms, like it just causes entire teams to collapse. Like I think the main reason that Shock like hard flopped this year wasn't like a talent problem. I think it was like 100% like expectations in the way that they were culturally, like on all accounts they were just like insanely all in on Proper, and Proper was just like the biggest cunt in the entire fucking universe to everybody on the roster, perma, just like hard flaming, and everyone like every day is literally like getting down on their knees and being like, I'm so sorry, Proper, like you are the greatest ever and I'm disappointing you. Like every day was, how can we not disappoint Proper,
Yeah, that's kind of everybody's fault, and of course you can always blame.
I'm not saying it's all Proper's fault. I think like the whole team culture was completely fucked off Spawn.
It was fucked off Spawn. I think nobody had a spine in that team to like tell him anything. I mean, as you like, there's just no way that that would never fucking slide on a team that has anybody with like a spinal cord. But I guess nobody in that team like would say anything. Like I don't know how that happened. I really don't. I don't get it. But
Krusty tried to get like the Cracker infusion mid-season to save it, but it was just way too late, dude. They were too far gone.
I think that team didn't have that much talent. Actually, I'm gonna say that. I don't think those players are that good because I actually watched in the off season. I watched all their POVs. I watched Jumbin's POV. He was actually really good. I did try to get him. I watched Vindem's POV, and that guy was fucking god awful. He was not good.
Poor Vindy on Lucio, dude. It was nothing.
He was. If I listened to my Koreans on what our roster would have been, it would have been after I got lipped. It would have been Lip, Stalker, Kellen, Bigi, Vindem. That was our roster. If I listened to all my Koreans, that was our roster.
Kellen would have been a good shout, I think.
Yeah, I think Kellen would have been better than Donkey, low key, high key. I think Kellen's a good player. Just everyone shits on him.
Yes, but there was to a certain extent. Yeah, to a certain extent, I agree. To a certain extent, but we would have not got either Fuel Player, and we would have got Vendem because they literally somehow they believed Vendem was like the guy. I don't know why. Like every Korean last offseason thought the guy was like the guy. I don't know what happened, and we would send them POVs to watch, and we're like, watch this fucking POV if you wanna have an opinion, like watch his POV first. And like I don't know, like I genuinely thought when he went to Shock, their team was not gonna be that good. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like that's what our team was saying. I remember us all saying that.
Yeah, I don't remember him being particularly good in season 5 with Soul either. Like I always thought he was decent, like good enough to be in Overwatch League, but never blew me away as like this guy's the next big thing.
I talked to him, and he was telling me that he can play flex support. He's like, we don't need a second flex if I'm on the team. Look at my Zen stats from Al. And I was like, you're out of your goddamn mind. Like, there's no way you think that. Like, there's just no way. And Yeah, So yeah, I was talks with him, but I didn't think he was very good. I didn't think Heesing was that good. I think he was just like okay. And
Like he was like a good example of the pressure fucking them.
Yeah,
Like he looked significantly better off that team than on it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, to be fair, we scrimmed them. We scrimmed them way before the season, and he got like fucking pounded by Stalker. It was like not. It was really, really, really bad. So I knew literally early January or December, some shit when we scrimmed them, that I didn't think they were gonna be very good. Like, it was just no. Remember that leaked VOD? That was like a thing, and that was like multiple times where he just like wasn't doing well. I don't know what happened. So I think early on, I think everybody knew early on they weren't going to be very good. So I don't think there was any expectations. I think there's just fan expectations more than anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised by them.
So if you were going to do it all again,
Mhm.
you're right back at the start of the season at roster formation.
Yeah.
What do you change?
Would you go full Korean or would you go more Western?
I would not go full Korean because the year would have been even more miserable for me. So no.
Yeah.
You gotta realize like like I'm telling you, when we showed up to Korea for that mid-season madness tournament, we were getting fucking pounded. We were getting shit on by everybody. We did a boot camp and we're like, oh my god, like we're gonna get last place in this tournament. We're fucking shit. Like we can't fucking win. We can't win when tournament time comes around. We're fucking screwed. That was the mindset. I'm not joking. We ended up improving.
Did you lose like 2 blocks? Like what?
No. We lost for a week straight. Like we were getting shit on by everybody. We were getting shit on by all the Korean teams. Yeah, mid-season madness. When we showed up in Korea, we were getting shit on by everybody. And our Koreans were there. There was no jet lag or anything. There was no reason to be getting shit on. And eventually, any way you look at it, we ended up getting better and we improved. And by the time match came around, we were doing really well and we beat the fuck out of everybody 3-4 days leading up to the tournament. Cool. And then there was so much pressure and expectation to win that tournament that when we finally won it, I mean, you can look at the thing. Like the guys just stood up and was just like, "Oh, nice, cool, like sounds good, man." It was literally not even excitement; it was just a sigh of relief, and that is like the most unfun way to do esports in fucking history. It's just like not fun. It ruins it and sucks every bit of enjoyment out of it when you win a tournament, a big fucking tournament, and you literally are a sigh of relief, not excited. If that makes sense, it actually is just like not fun.
Yeah.
So no, I would not do a full Korean team. I would not sell my soul. Like I don't care enough to make a full Korean team. Like I don't get me wrong, that would probably be the best way of winning the season if I just straight up went full Korean. Like I'm not gonna act like if I redid it and got 2 different tanks, that probably would give me a better chance of winning the season. No, not even because of skill, but just like leadership and shit they want. Sure, okay.
Yeah, but I think most people probably look at your roster and think, yeah, like Donghak at times was good, but then at times looked weak. Hawk felt impossible to integrate, and it's like, oh, imagine you guys had Smurf, right? Like I don't know if that was ever a possibility, but if you guys had Smurf, it's almost impossible to see how you could lose.
It wasn't a possibility. So when we originally got the roster, it was 5 players, and then I was like, management, like, do you guys want to win, or do you want to like you Chill and Filter right here, like, do you want to win, or do you want to be a fucking like but a Boston level? Do you want to get 4th, 5th, 6th place every tournament max, right? Got him to do that, and then it was fucking done, locked in. And I was like, well, Monkey's pretty fucking good right now. Could you squeeze out a minimum contract for 7 months?
Mm-hmm.
And the minimum contract, no housing, no nothing, no fucking shit, nothing. And he'll get his money because we're going to even price split. I'm like, all right, can we do that? Squeeze that a little bit of extra. But and then early in the season, Fearless tried to come to our team. He wanted to come. Outlaws obviously like, fuck you, like no fucking way we're letting him go. And then there was an option for Smurf at one point, but they wanted Striker, so it's just like not gonna happen. Like, if I'm getting Smurf and they wanted a Stalker, so like obviously that's not an option. Can't give him up. So there was really no way to get anyone else at any point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not much I would change. But yeah, I mean, if I'm genuinely trying to win, I would just I could just go get Fearless and Hobbit or something, right? somehow convince them to come with less money. And maybe I could take a pay cut and just start working for free. I don't know. Like, there's not really like much else. Like that would be the other option, would be do that to get the team Korea team and then let them grind together throughout the course of the season. But
And you could get 4th place.
yeah, right. So,
yeah, no, they were one stalker away from first.
Yeah, I you know, and I think if anything, I would have gone more mixed. Actually, I would have got I would have got a Western tank. I would have got like Mikey or convinced Reiner to play or some shit. I think actually that's probably what I would have done, or J Karu, or literally I would have got a Western monkey player. Actually, unironically, I'm not joking. I actually I remember in the offseason I asked Hawk, I was like, should we get J Karu? Or should I like message him? I'm like, because I was already talking to Mikey, and I'm like, well, the only other option is really J Karu. I think it's only like Western player that plays that hero, literally. And he was like, yeah, but make sure the Koreans aren't going to rage if we get a Western player. And of course, there was unbelievable pushback on getting anybody that was Western, obviously.
Could you imagine it? Lip stalker J Karu is your
Yeah, right?
Oh my
JK's going to be
Yes,
so
good thing you didn't go
gutted
that
when he
route.
learns about this timeline.
No, I'm telling you, I could search the DMs with Hawk, and we specifically were talking about him, like, oh, because we were already talking about Mikey, and I was considering offering Mikey as well, and I was really thinking about getting this too. And actually, I remember messaging Reiner as well, being like, yo, like, quit being a pussy, like, come back and play. I can get you a contract right now. And he, you know how he is, taking his break or whatever he's doing. But I think that's literally what I would do. I would, in that way, I know this sounds bad, but there would be a monopoly on the tank role, which the tank role is only 1 out of the 5, but that shit is 50% of the roster. So if I got Hawk and the Western tank in there, we're getting our way no matter what. And there's no way around it. And I think that could have been worked out well, considering our guys have pretty good mentals with that, and they actually were really nice to Western players. So I think actually that's the route I would have gone. No joke.
If only you could have just forced them to play Hawk, you know? Like, if only in the first half of the year, like all these maps where it was like, you know, to be honest,
Ram.
it was 50-50 whether you played Winston or whether you played Ram, and then, you know,
Yeah,
on, like,
true.
one of those three Koth points, it's like, oh, it's not a good Ram point anymore. You could still just play Junker Queen, you know, like Glads was always playing Junker Queen.
But this is the thing.
And it would work.
Yeah, every map was a 1 round of a Ram, and it was one of those things to where we had our win percentage was 99.99. Actually, no, I'm just gonna. It was 100% win rate on the monkey maps. So it was just, why the fuck not just instantly win the 2 out of the 3.
You just had to have that long-term vision. You know, you had to be able to convince people that like, this is how we're going to get the white guy in the roster in case the changes from Winston Storm or Tracer Boys. Like,
but they see the white guy who literally is almost incapable of practicing that hero in his own region, and he just needs some time to learn. But they see him make a bad jump that a Korean monkey would.
I mean, what I'm saying is, like, you never had to play Winston at all. You know, like, you could have just played Junker Queen on the other one. You know, it was like 2 out of 3 Ram, and then the third one, it was like you could play like the off-meta Junker Queen, and it would. But that's, you know, if you could have done that, and you would have won. Like, Glad's won with that. Obviously, you guys would have won with it. You know, like, Hawk's really good at
but what you're doing is you're telling somebody who loves to play soccer, you're forcing them to play basketball. When the soccer field's right there, like, you know what I mean? That's how they think. Why the fuck do we want to play basketball? Like, I know we should be improving at that, but I like playing soccer, and we can play it right now and win at that. That's like how they think. So it's we don't want to play that. Like, please just let us win. Let us win. Like, why are you making us not win? You know. But it ended up being a thorn later on, obviously. So I mean, obviously, of course, in hindsight, I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think hindsight. And I think that's something that should have been done anyways, no matter what. I don't think it's hindsight. That should have been something that was willing to give up a little bit of confidence. But you got to realize the confidence was so high. It's hard to be willing to fuck with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we almost had the opposite problem where in the first half of the season, I was so desperate to just not have to play Ryan, like to have some sort of other option.
Yeah.
But actually, the best thing for the team was to just fucking only play football. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
but that worked out though. But what happens if instead they nerfed the Ryan shield ending by 200 and they nerfed BAP harder and May gets a nerf, not a buff? Then you'd be like, oh my god, like you were right all along.
I think Gladiators go to playoffs.
No, I'm saying
like, he wouldn't have been like that, though.
No, but I'm saying everybody would have been, oh my god, like that was so smart, Chris. Like, nice job. Like, but
But it's like they wouldn't have won. Is the difference, you know? Like
I agree.
They spent the first half of the season getting fucked.
I agree. There was
whole...
only 1 or 2 comps like those like that team would like win easily on. I agree. There's no reason to like. Yeah, I mean, sure, whatever. It's irrelevant, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. So that's kind of we're kind of in the same boat, but we did the opposite, and it ended up fucking us. And there's that's what happens. So
reverse order.
I mean, we got to win the midseason because of it, I guess, because we grinded the fuck out of that comp.
Make a chip.
You've got experience doing really well at mid-season and then sort of trailing off.
Yeah, no, I'm a Mickey chip collector for what it's worth. You know, like love going out with a bang at the mid-season and never performing again. You know, like that's kind of my whole thing. That's just it follows the 21 Atlanta people, is my understanding.
It does actually.
All right, let's shift it on. We reached out for some questions from our users. We said they didn't have to be nice, but actually, a lot of people were nice. I was expecting more intensity. Maybe
How many
from
death threats did you get?
Literally no death threat. Well,
what?
Last episode, we requested death threats quite openly for any of us, and we only got 1. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nobody sent Gator any death threats, at least not via us. So be good.
I'm sure if you check his Twitter DMs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My mentions after that Saudi game were pretty awesome.
So, all right, first question. Nice question, actually. Favorite Overwatch League memory?
Favorite Overwatch League memory would be upsetting Shock, I think. Back in season 2. In the playoffs.
When they didn't touch the cart.
Yeah, it was a fucking dogfight. Yeah.
What about as a coach?
No.
Mid-season, maybe.
Mid-season.
When you got lip, like when you paid for lip.
You signed that contract.
Hey! All I'm saying is Atlanta's DPS line costs less than Glad's.
Oh,
that's all I'm gonna say.
No, your DPS line was literally budget, dude. You got Stalker on like a super deal, and you paid less than 3 players, and there wasn't. There wasn't a comically overpaid guy who's named with a Y and
guess what? That's why I went to management and I said, hey, this player's available. Nobody else knows about it. They want to get rid of him, and if we get him right now, then guess what? We only need 2 players, 2 DPS players. We'll never need more than 3. And I'm sorry that Glad's thought Yaki was the best player there was, so I don't know what to tell you.
Face was in a mountain in Costa Rica at this moment in time.
I mean, you spent more for Yaki than I did for Stalker, and they were both available at the same time, so I don't know what to tell you.
Real 50-50 type decision, right?
I mean, just neck and neck players, really. Really.
Did you know Stalker was going to be that good? I thought he had a decent season 5 with Soul, but he didn't look like he was about to become one of the best DPS players in the league.
No, we knew he was really good. We knew his Tracer was really good. We knew he was a really good player. Actually, I think Brad is actually the one who kickstarted that one first. Actually, that was kind of his like last help, kind of on the way out. He helped a lot throughout the offseason, but he actually kicked off, hey, like this guy's really fucking good. You should look at him. And then. Yeah, we got him. Just got an insane deal. Like we actually paid him a little bit more money because he felt so bad. I'm not even joking. Like we were like, well, there's no way we can give him 50K with no housing. Like that's kind of fucked. Like here's a few extra bones, bro. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Like
what does housing cost in Atlanta? Because I remember Fusion, my first season, they gave me 60K but made me pay for housing, and I ended up paying like 1.8K a month for a fucking shitty studio apartment, no bills or anything included.
Yeah, I paid 2K. It's the same price for studio.
Plus like what, 2,000 a month plus the safety of your motor vehicle? Is that the general price?
Safety of your motor vehicle, safety of your life. When you go home, you might have people like riding by threatening you just for fun. Like I don't know.
It can happen though, dude. Like you got to live near the facility. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I actually stopped walking home when on the way home one day. After a long day of scrims in the dark, some 4 dudes pull up in a car, and they start just going slowly by me. And you remember this, Hunter? And
Yes, of course.
I'm like, this is kind of weird. So I didn't look over. Like I'm trying to mind my own fucking. I know where I am. I'm in Atlanta, and I look over, and then there's like 4 dudes staring at me, big ass brawlic dudes, and they're like, "What the fuck are you looking at, pussy?" And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I didn't even say anything. I just looked back, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep walking.
To be honest, this isn't even the worst story from Atlanta. Like your car got stolen. Hawk,
Yep.
Hawk was like traumatized because there was a guy coming out of his apartment building holding
with
like a fucking
AK.
AK-47.
I was walking around with guys walking around with the AR in the complex.
As you do,
Yeah.
as you do.
So yeah.
I played football. I played soccer in LA, right? And
yeah.
I had like a team, and I played for a team twice a week, and it was like 30, 40, maybe even slightly older. So I'm the youngest one. And we went out for a drink one night. And we're like, oh, what do you like about, like, because I spend most of my time these days in Korea. It's where I am right now. And then obviously I work in LA. And what do you prefer? And I said to them, I said, the main reason that I prefer Korea to America by far is that this city is just unbelievably safe. There's actually nothing. There is no time anywhere in this city which I feel even remotely in danger. Like, I actually can't describe how important. And I said, in America, I walk more than 5 meters away from my house, and I'm like, there's a 50% chance I'm dying today to something. And they look at me like I'm the craziest person in the world. They're like, what? LA unsafe? America unsafe? They were like pulling up stats about how it's like America's homeless issue isn't that bad, and I'm like, this you can't be fucking serious. And they're like all fucking harassing me about this idea that like LA is like this unsafe and there's like loads of homeless people and there's all these problems. And I'm like, where the fuck are you guys living? Like this country is like it's so awful, fucking scary.
You were in Anaheim, right?
Yeah.
There was homeless people everywhere, all over every bench. I go into McDonald's at 8 p.m. at night, and it's so sad. There's 4 homeless ladies sitting in different booths, just look like they haven't taken a shower in months. It's just like unreal. Like, no, there's no way
America,
you can deny that.
So bad. It's why whenever these presidents run, I feel like if you're a president in America and you're not running up purely on fucking homelessness as the number one issue, I think it has to be the biggest problem in this country, because it's actually like unbelievable how many people can't afford to like. I mean, rent is so unbelievable too. You can understand it.
A lot of people also, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's easy to get out of, like, if you live right outside the city, and almost every big city, it's nice. That's like the hack, though. That's what people do. So if you just avoid the big city, it's not normally too bad. But we're like literally in Atlanta. Like, but if you live 20 minutes outside Atlanta, it's actually really nice.
Yeah. I think the reason, not to make it like the socioeconomic podcast instead of the uncoachable one about Overwatch, but yeah, I think the reason that like the statistics look okay for America compared to other countries is because like homelessness and houselessness are like different statistics or something like that. I don't know if it's actually houseless, but you know, like in Australia, for instance, like the majority of people that are homeless, they actually still sleep in someone's house, you know, like they still have a bed at night. Whereas in America, it's like a massively larger proportion of people that are homeless actually sleep on the street, like sleeping rough or whatever, instead of sleeping in someone's house on a bed. So there's just like no support network, and people that wind up homeless, they actually have to sleep on the street instead of just not sleeping in a place that their name is on the lease for or something like that. So I think that's like the difference when, you know,
that makes sense.
American with a smile throws a stat at you and is like, yeah, this is equal.
They Googled it and it was like, oh, UK's homelessness is worse than America's. And I'm like, it's impossible that that's true. Just anecdotally, it cannot. I know this is a Wikipedia article, but it's just not true, you know.
It's because of houselessness or whatever it's called, you know. It's where they actually wind up sleeping, you know.
I think that answers that question.
I agree.
Thanks for that, Gator.
Next question. So your opinion on team drama, I think is more geared at stuff like when there was maybe beef between like London and Atlanta, like shit talk, I guess. I think it's constructive to the space. How far should it go?
I think it's fine. I think London a while back was here's the thing, like even when I used to shit talk people a lot, I never ever shit talked individual players. I never added players. I never was like, you're fucking trash after a game. Like, it was only towards the team as a whole. But the Atlanta social person was specifically like shit talking players after games, and that's where our team got like mad. I remember we lost or something, and then they were putting up like OG stats and shit, and was like just like shit talking him and making fun of him specifically because he had a bad game. And I'm like, that's kind of like fucked, because nobody's really done that, and that's kind of like, you're just creating a dog pile unnecessary. Like, shit talk the team as a whole if you want. Shit talk me because I can give a fuck less, but you're like shit talking 18-year-old kids individually with 100-something K followers. It's kind of like, yes, that's too far. I really think that's too far. But like player shit talking, I don't think we really ever shit talked. Nobody really ever shit talked. And I also kind of stopped because the thing with shit talking in Overwatch is really boring because nobody shit talks back. So what you're doing is, this is why I completely stopped shit talking, because it's just actually not fun. Like, I was down to banter with people, but it became a thing to where I'm playing poker with somebody, and I'm risking all my money and they're risking nothing. Like, what's the fucking point?
But
Why would I shit talk just so I can have 1,000 people message me after, for no reason? Like, it's kind of like, it's like unfun. Like, it's just like not really that fun. So
the problem with Overwatch shit talk is the players, but also the community. What they'll do is they won't say anything, and then the second you lose, that's when they're so brave with their shit talk.
Yeah. No, you have no idea. So we didn't, as I said, like, like to gas it up, but we didn't lose for a while, right? Like, beginning of the season, we didn't lose until we lost to Outlaws halfway through the last like stage, right? And oh my god, all of a sudden, check my DMs. Like, not a single motherfucker shit talk had a single thing to say for 6 months straight. After one map 5, like sweaty ass match against a good team, is just flame. And it's like, well, what's the point of that? Like, you should at least be shit talking the whole way through. Like, that's kind of like no fun. So yeah,
even players, right? It's like, oh, GG's at someone, or like, you suck, but it's only ever after the win. No one will ever say anything before the win. So it's like, at least the thing with the UFC is like, the UFC is like the best sport in the world for shit talk, and they do it the other way. Before the fight, they'll literally insult your family, your religion, you name it, they'll go for it. And then the second after you've actually had a physical fight, they both shake hands, hug, and say, oh, like, all love, brother,
Yeah,
it's
people
like Overwatch is this like opposite, was terrified to say anything. And then after the game, I mean, I do it too. Like, when I made my like tweet about pre or whatever it was, and then like that'll do. Of course, do it after the win. Everyone like prepares the tweets after the win, but I feel like that's actually kind of like because it doesn't generate any hype for the game, and all it does is create drama after the game. But surely the idea of the shit talk is to make people want to watch it. It's probably why that, like, I don't know how you guys felt in Atlanta like the season before last, after with the whole like blacklist drama. But that rivalry was actually like more and more heated as it went on. So there was probably a certain selection of people who looked forward to a London Atlanta game because they kind of knew. They were like, I don't know if we hated each other, but I don't think we liked you, and I think we really wanted to beat you more than any team, really.
What was this last year?
It was the one where you played the not this season, the one before, where you were still playing.
Oh, see,
you remember?
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is, I'm not joking you. I hadn't been playing in scrims at all, and our team didn't really know how to play Rhine, and they're like, well, we could always just Rhine mirror. I'm like, I mean, I'm down. Like, I haven't fucking played in weeks, and it's pretty fucking hard to randomly come in and play Rush mirror. And I mean, even then we went to map 5, so I was happy with that, I guess. But and I remember like jokingly before the match, I was like, oh, like Rhine mirror guys. Like, I tweeted like, let's fucking Rhine mirror, like for fun. Like, I actually thought it was like harmless. I was like, oh, like I'm down. Like,
yeah,
I was literally just trying to have fun. Like, I was, swear to God, I was actually trying to have fun with it. I was like, I'm down to Rhine mirror. The Rhine team who practices it every day, and I'm just getting thrown in for fuck knows what reason, with literally not a Rhine rush team at all. Like, none of those players are rush players at all. And I had Venom, who's a tracer main on May. And I'm like, fuck it, dude. Like, I'm down. Like, let's just try. Like, it's fun. Like, whatever. It's not that fucking serious. And then after the match, it's like, this is what happens when you call people out. You're so fucking shit. Just like 1,000 people. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, dude, like, I don't even care. But it kind of like sucks the fun out of it if there's no like banter before, and it's just like waiting to like blow it all back after. It's like, well, now I'm not like, what's the fun in that? There's no fun. So
well, that's it. I did a thing. I think it was on a different podcast, and I was like, oh, I think the Overwatch community is too soft, and it basically has like over time, Overwatch players' personalities you can't have a personality in this game because of exactly what you're saying. If you tweeting someone Rhyme Mirror and then that gets you unlimited hate after the fact, if that's like deemed too much shit talk, then we can't do anything except be respectful 24/7, which means no one can show their personality, which no one can have any fun with it, which means that no one watches the league, which means that the league ends, and it means that we're stuck making a fucking podcast for 1,000 people. Is a way to attempt to say that, a direct snowball.
Yeah. Dude, players are so soft in Overwatch. It's fucking crazy. Like people are so scared to upset somebody because they think they'll like never talk to them or hate them forever. You like all the USA players. I'm friends with all of them, and I'm not joking you. At one point, every single one of them has flamed the fuck out of me in ranked, not knowing it's me. And I have flamed every single one of them in ranked, not knowing it was them. And every time it's after I just got them. Like I remember one time Hydron flamed me so fucking hard. He was like, "You are so fucking dog shit. What the fuck are you doing?" Like this is like 3-4 years ago. And then I messaged him. I was like, "That's me, you fucking idiot." And he's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Wow, well, I was feeding, whatever, like fucking whatever, right?" But like these people, like Koreans, honestly, I think Europeans as well. Europeans cannot take like the shit talk. I don't know, like they get very butthurt over it. It's like not. They don't think it's funny. They don't think bantering's funny. Like, and then there's a lot of like grudge holding forever amongst the regions for some reason. But they don't understand. Like NA players literally are there just to have fun. I'm not even joking you. There's like almost no beef amongst NA players. This is why Team USA was like almost a little bit too nice. There was just, but that's why it's like fun. Like I think if the Overwatch League was majority NA, I think it would be so much more fun to watch and enjoyable and for all the people. I really think so. I actually think so. Like it would be like COD League. Like COD League is just fucking brain dead. Like it's just people shit talking each other all day for fun. That's all they do.
I think even if the level goes down or whatever, the percentage of Korean players in the league that especially because some Muslims don't speak English has to be detriment to the Western audience. Like maybe it's better for the Korean audience, but it has to have played a downfall in like some of the viewership because I don't know. I don't think we know it. We've discussed it on this podcast. People's opinion of actual players' personalities is so incomprehendibly wildly different to the genuine personalities. Yeah. Because there's no way to show it in the way it is, and it's another reason why I think streaming scrims is a really good way of like allowing people to see people's personalities and allowing like a little bit more excitement and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think in Western culture, a lot of so if you watch a lot of Western player streams, you watch all the Team USA streamers or players stream, they all are somewhat toxic or hostile and ranked, and you would think, oh, these guys are fucking dickheads, like fuck them. But in reality, when they go to a team, they don't treat their team like that. Like that's just how they talk to ranked players. Like they don't give. But when they get in a team, they're all
opposite on the Korean.
It's
team
the fucking. But it's the opposite. It's the opposite.
These little PMA Andy's streaming their fucking rankings for 4 hours a day, not pointing any fingers at anyone.
No, they're all so nice and ranked. They're all. Oh my god! So funny! Oh my god! You fucked up! Oh my god! That was so funny! Haha! You didn't rank if their teammate fucks up in a scrim. It's like, you motherfucker, like instantly. And it's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's the opposite. But like, it is you don't get to see that. And I stand by. Hot take. I think Koreans ruined the Overwatch League. So.
Oh, that's the title.
That's fine. I don't care. You can put that as a title. I don't care. And this is why. Let me explain myself. This is why. And this is someone who's I specifically pushed more than anybody else to make a full Korean team or more towards it. Because what would happen if there was less Koreans is, any way you look at it, it would be like less. The level of play wouldn't be as high. It would just straight up wouldn't. Like, it wouldn't. It just wouldn't. Like, there's the worth wouldn't be there. It would be like COD League or these other leagues where you fucking gentlemen agree to work 3 to 4 hours a day and then you fuck off the rest of the day. It's pretty much what you're doing. Like you're just agreeing to be lazy fucks and play off talent, right? But what it does is the level of play in the matches would be, don't get me wrong, 3 or 5% less. But the viewers wouldn't even notice that. It wouldn't be any bit of difference. It would still be the best teams. It would still be the best teams in the world.
It's entertaining.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the best team. It would still be the best teams in the world playing. Nothing would change there. But what would change is the players' personalities. They'd all be streaming from the start. back in Overwatch League 1 and 2 when it was all on Twitch, all these players should have been streaming and doing. There actually should have been content, and there should be significantly more bigger personalities, and all this stuff that goes along with that. But that was all taken away by being so fucking serious from the start, and there's just like no time or energy to put into that. I actually think that, and I also think quality of life would be better.
I actually think so too. If you think about this, right, the most successful Twitch streamer of all time, the biggest personality in gaming was in the Overwatch League, and ended up just getting like chewed out by the system. So
and he's like one of the
how much higher is XQC's viewership on any stream than anyone in Overwatch League, you know?
And he's one of the only people.
The entirety of the league dwarfs it, you know? More people, even if he's toxic or he says bad words, he is more entertaining, more profitable, earns more money than the entirety of our league. And we had him. He was in. He literally played.
Okay. There's no reason why he's not the scump of Overwatch, right? And what should have happened is these players are only scrimming 2 blocks a day, 4 hours, and then you're doing a little VOD review. You should only be working 5 to 6 hours a day. I know it sounds lazy as fuck, but that's how it is in a lot of these other esports. It's not fucking 12 to 15 hours a day every day. And what ends up happening is XQC and Super and all these other guys, they don't leave Overwatch. They would have all been staying in the Overwatch League. It would have been all these players would not have quit if they didn't have to scrim 3 or 4 blocks a day or spend 12 hours a day. And then you'd have more guys coming up. I seriously think that was like the downfall of Overwatch is not having region lock. I think it should have had region lock from the start. And for instance, when we had Pelly, you remember this, Unter? I'm done after 2 blocks. Okay, you can have, and we have one Korean. Where's our 3rd block? I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm going home. What are you talking about? Like 2 blocks. I tried my ass off for 2 blocks, and that's what you're getting out of me. Like, there you go.
Good for like 5 honest hours a day.
Yeah. And that's
maybe like 5.5 if it was like a really funny review. That was about it. Exactly.
And that's what ended up happening. But yeah, okay, it would have been like League where NA would show up and probably get shit on every so often. You have an upset. Maybe they go finals. Maybe they win once every 4, 5, 6 years, if that. But I seriously think the system would be significantly better if they didn't do this open bullshit from the start. I really think so.
I don't really.
Oh, you're good.
I don't really have facts to back this up, but I always get the impression from other games you don't get the same number of retirements or dropout from the. Like if a player makes it to the top in CS:GO, they might bounce around different teams, but they don't retire after a couple of years because it's too much or they want to do something different. They would just will do that as long as someone will keep paying them to do that. They're not looking to get out.
And then also, I think there would have been significantly more investment in NA and especially European talent throughout the years, where I think it would be a lot more even right now as far as skill and experience and practice over the years. But I actually think I just think there should have been a region lock from the start.
And I think if we do get lucky and the like ESL comes into Overwatch and we get some sort of regional system, I think it can be built up in a way that we can right a lot of the wrongs like of the past, you know. Like again, like if we stream scrims, that's going to allow it. People will probably scrim less, and then you'll get these like, I don't know, like quarterly, like what's the not half, like every 3 of them a year, try quarterly.
Every 3rd.
And then you get these international events, and you're actually excited for it. Like you see, like I think especially in Overwatch, because whatever happens, like I don't know if you watch like Korean flash ops, but their comps very different to European flash ops. For some reason, they're still diving everywhere, right? And then in Europe,
yes, of course.
So all of a sudden, there would be like this clash of styles, and they would meet up once a year. And yeah, the Koreans probably win. Like I'm not naive enough to say that the Koreans wouldn't win, but I think that you would have more personality. People would be more invested in it. And I think ultimately, what Overwatch League did, like, there's a lot of reasons Overwatch League failed, and I don't think it's necessarily the big one. But I think that we neutered any attempt of a personality within the league. We focused on work ethic and grind so much that it was inevitable that like the league would just turn like vast majority Korean, and then we just found ourselves in a situation where no one was either entertaining or anyone that was entertaining had no way or reason to even be entertaining. If tweeting Ryan Mirror at Haddy is too much for the Overwatch community to handle, where they just got to shit talk you, then imagine in fucking COD League, that was like the shit they say to each other in comparison to Ryan Mirror ?
Yeah, it's a shame, honestly. I think
yeah.
I think there was a lot of but you can't fault it for taking the risk, I guess. We'll go with that. It ended up being like who wanted to work harder, honestly. Like, the people that ended up working the hardest were the ones that stuck around the longest, that whoever wanted to work like dogs. So
yeah.
All right. So a few more questions to get through, and then we'll maybe focus on flash ups for a bit. So this is from Jay. Regardless of results, what do you consider to be the best backline of all time?
Fuck, that depends. In any meta, just generally speaking, best one.
Yeah.
I think I'll go with Moth Violet. And
Really?
And the reason I'll go with that is because I think Peak Violet was the best flex support of all time and the best player of all time. Because I think at one point he was significantly better than everybody else at his role. And I think Moth was really good at the time. Like this is like season 2. Season 2 and 3. I think his play style fit perfectly with his. And from what I understand, he was a almost like really good teammate and personality and comms and all that. So I think that one, and they also won 2 championships, so it's easy to say, right? I think you have to factor in wins. I think that's only fair to a certain extent. So I would say those 2, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. And then from Sam H, do you think there was anyone who didn't go pro that should have gone pro or could have made a big impact if they did?
I think. Let me think. Thinking of streamers first. If there's any streamers, it was almost Kev for a while because Kev was being a little weird there, not joining for a little while.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, he would have been the one. Besides him, who was that one guy, the Genji player from way back in the day?
Aimbot Calvin.
No, Shatter. That guy was good, dude. Was he good?
He did go pro.
No, but he didn't join. Like he quit before.
But he got
he quit
injuries,
early.
I think. He was contenders, and then he kept saying it's like his wrist was like he had to take breaks because he was like permanently injured.
Okay.
I think.
What about Calvin?
Oh, Calvin. Yeah, I know Calvin for sure.
Yeah,
Calvin
was actually good.
No, he was actually really
flex god.
Really
not just mechanically good, but like actually smart too.
Yeah, he was actually good as fuck.
Player. But he decided to go streamer.
But guess what?
Go live
that's another person where if there was no region lock and you only had to practice 5 hours a day, I bet you that guy doesn't get burnt out. So, yeah, I mean, I think, he's definitely the guy for sure, without a doubt.
Yep. This one is from friend of a podcast, Spilo. He says,
skip.
People tease Atlanta, Toronto for being chokers, but they're just more obvious recent examples. Are there any other teams that were big chokers in officials or one particularly big choke?
I think first off, I think Toronto was way bigger chokers than Atlanta because I think Atlanta had a peak and then a steady decline. Like, you know what I mean? I almost don't know if it was a hard choke. I think Toronto was a straight up fucking choke.
Atlanta.
What?
Like last season Atlanta, the Toronto players, like the same core.
That was a choke. See, that was a choke. That was dominating all week in a scrim and then showing up to the match just getting like shit on. Like that's a choke. Like, that doesn't really make sense. But I think this year, I mean, I feel like it's got to be Glads. Like they were pretty good in scrims at some point. They're a little bit of a scrim warriors for a
Did
little
you
bit
say
there.
Glides were chokers?
A little bit
Yeah.
this year. You got.
Oh,
And
this year.
I almost mean that as like a compliment because you guys' record was bad, but I swear you guys were actually like not fucking too bad.
Do you
at
mean
some
like
points.
Do you mean like the second half? Or like
No.
the first half?
No,
Because
no,
the first
no.
half, I think that we played pretty closely to our scrim results. You know, it was like
Yeah.
we're gonna come fourth or fifth, and we like it's like we lost the map 5 to Mayhem. You know,
I guess
like,
you did. Yeah, that's true. No, second half.
I think
you
in the
guys were
first half it was pretty even, and in the second half it's like were we chokers or were we just dog shit? I think it was more.
That's true.
Was
You
your
did
more
look-
the
scrim
latter.
yeah, you
results
did
dog
look-
shit too in the second half?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I actually don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it was good though. You know, like I think because people like they were kind of like losing hope, giving up. It mustn't have been good, right? Like if they were winning in scrims and then losing those matches, then I feel like there would have been like a shred of optimism. You know, it's like it's gonna click in the moment. But no, I think probably just sucked.
I think Toronto has to be the one then. I can't even say Shock was chokers. Like they didn't perform well in scrims. I think Toronto is like the choker of the year. I think,
Yeah.
and that's. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad. I mean, I almost mean that in a good way. That I think they should have had better results. Like they're actually good players and good, but they lost when it mattered most.
I think it's
guess.
them, and it's not even close because then you translate it to the World Cup result, and it's like a couple of like key Toronto players also on the World Cup roster, and like the results are genuinely like 1-to-1 replicated. You know, it was like it looked like a perfect meta for their hero pools. You know, it's like fucking Sim, Bap, Sigma. You know, like Sim, Surgeon, Bap, Sigma. Like if you can't perform on that shit, like these are your best heroes, perfect meta for you, and like not making playoffs in a perfect meta for the team, and then fucking what's it called? Fucking not even 8th place in World Cup. Just atrocious results. And then like I thought that Majed was like maybe Majed was the problem back on Toronto, but then he gets like the most insane vindication of all time and gets to become a fucking World Cup champ instead. Like so I don't know. I guess he's vindicated and it's all the Toronto guys' fault.
I mean, he didn't even play much the first half of the season.
Yeah, I mean it's like the starters from Toronto.
Mm-hmm. I mean, their first half was awful, so it had nothing to do with him. So
yeah,
I would say them. I don't actually really think there's another choker. I feel like everybody was pretty close to where they were supposed to be. I don't think.
No,
I mean, I think Atlanta definitely choked, but it kind of proved in World Cup that look at that, lost the dive mirror once again with a full Korean everything to the same Chinese team without a coach. So, I mean, I think nothing changed. Right, literally nothing changed. No, I don't even know if I'd call that a choke because that would be like if they showed up to World Cup and beat the shit out of them, then I would be like, oh well, like I actually felt like that loss was deserved. I genuinely thought they played better when they beat us in playoffs. Like I thought they actually played better.
No, I mean,
I know. Like I actually think Toronto's like the choker. I just think that I'm saying that I think our losses were deserved. I just don't. I think Toronto like actually should have won. Like they should have won more games. Like straight up.
No, for sure.
All right, so we're going to stick with our main man, Spilo, again for the next question. He says he's of the opinion that Hawk is the best Western tank in the past 3 years. Agree?
Say yes, Connor.
Yeah, I think Hawk is the best, and I think it's, I feel like Hawk improved a lot. I think last season he had a lot of issues with that core. And I think that was from playing with me for so long that I think he just needed some time and pressure to evolve from a 2-tank system to a 1-tank. And I feel like he's actually done that now. I actually feel like if the Atlanta team ran it back from last year, I actually think that team would be really fucking sick. Actually. But yeah, I do think he's the best. Honestly, I think he's got the best mechanics. I think he works the hardest. I think he cares the most. All that shit. Like even last year when I didn't really enjoy Overwatch 2 and release much, and Hawk was like begging to play every map, and I was like, fine, man. Like, all right, like fucking hell. Like if you want to play that bad, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, and like he just cares. He actually cares. And I think all those things have to factor in, and that people don't see just mechanics. I think his mechanics are nuts. And I also think that he's the kind of player where people see him feed or do certain things that they question mark, But I'm telling you, it's the same shit with like Fearless too. Like that guy will just have a random fucking feed in a match, but nobody will ever say anything because he's on Winston. He's the best Winston of all time. Oh my god, like he didn't feed where was his team at? But I think Hawk does a lot of the same shit, and I think a lot of players don't like see that. And I'm telling you, like when I'll watch his POV back and I'll try to flame him, and I'll be like, all right, like you get away with that. Like that actually makes sense why you did that. Like, you know, like I try to like flame him a lot more, but I'm telling you, he's actually really fucking good. So yeah, I actually think I genuinely think he's the best, and I think he works harder and cares the most, which that matters as well.
The next question is from a guy whose name is just a period, like a full stop, not the other type.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "What are your thoughts on the longevity of Overwatch careers and how players, coaches handle their retirement?" So I guess along the lines of like, how do players do a good job, or coaches setting themselves up for life past Overwatch League?
No, and I think especially because if I'm being honest, if all I cared about was success and money in life, I would never dropped out my second to last semester of college to join this stupid shit for 50K. Like, what the fuck would I do that? It makes no goddamn sense. Like, I would be what 5 years into an actual good ass career, like as a fucking brain dead. Like nobody. This is like a hot take, but I think 99% of the people in Overwatch, if they would have been better off not joining Overwatch, like long term. Obviously, right? This is like a passion thing, and that's why it's like
99 is a stretch, dude. There are some
no, not 99.
there are some mouth breathers in Overwatch League, dude.
No, okay, not 99, but a large portion. If they put the same effort in to this, they put in something else. That's what I mean.
That's true. That's true.
The problem is there's a massive percentage of Overwatch League players that actually cannot function in the real world. It's not humanly possible.
That is true. That is completely true.
That's right. Throw them in the military for 2 years, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, okay, well,
how many do you see that retire, then just like, oh, I'm gonna go live in the real world. Then 6 months later, on LFT,
I'm back.
Like,
you see, are you talking about OGE right now? Because I saw OGE. You know, he's like 2 years into his retirement. I think he's done the army. He's come back and he's posted like 17 different LFTs on Twitter right now. I am willing to be an Overwatch coach. I am willing to be a Valorant coach. I'm willing to be an Overwatch coach again. I'm looking for teams Saudi E-Leagues. Please give me a job. One last opportunity. Pleading emoji. Like it's just the whole. He's sending everything he's got on Twitter in a desperate attempt to get an esports job that pays 25K a year. Like,
yeah, I think also some of that's a bit luck based with that. Like, there's a lot of players that's gotten a lucky situation. Like, I mean, half the league is kind of luck in a certain point. There's a lot of players that just got lucky situations and overpaid. And there's a lot of players who kind of got fucked and got underpaid or got stuck on like shitty salaries. And then there's players that were just too young, where some of these new players are 18, 19, and they only got to play just this year. Well, of course they're not set up. They've been playing Overwatch since they're 12. They literally dropped out of high school. They have no social skills. They didn't go to high school. They're like 20 years old with only 1 year worth of Overwatch League under their belt. They're like fucked. Like they're actually fucked. It's like really bad. Like it's really fucked up. And then Overwatch League, Blizzard decided to just rug the fuck out of all those kids. So it's like really fucked up. There's a lot of kids right now that don't really have situations to go back to. And I don't really think that's their fault. I think that's just them trying to do a passion, and Blizzard Entertainment decided to rug the fuck out of them. So I don't really, there's really, like, you can't be mad at a 19 or 20-year-old for doing that. Like, they just followed their passion and they got fucked. So, like, a lot of, like, see, we're all older and shit. And I'm sure everyone here did shit before Overwatch, but, like, these kids did not have that situation. So, yeah, they're kind of fucked. Straight up.
Next, our main man Ennis, our sole death threat sender from last episode. Here's a string of questions.
Nice.
String of them.
String of them. So I'll try and pick. I think we sort of covered some of these because it talks about sort of working with different regions. Talks about mixed rosters. So I think this is coming from something you've said before, where he says you've talked about who are some of the hardworking Western players that can maybe match the Korean work ethic or dedication. Talking about when you said NA players are more lazy, for better or worse, who doesn't fall in that category?
The ones that are lazy?
That aren't lazy.
That aren't lazy. I think Hawk works really hard. I think I actually think the Toronto players all work hard. Like generally
Yeah, I
speaking,
think they have
most of
like
them.
crazy work ethic. Like I
Like-
always see
like
like UB,
genuinely, yeah.
Hydron in ranked like perma. I think Speedly was the. I don't know how much OG played this year, but like I think Speedly was the only one where it was just like an unbelievable disappointment on work
Yeah.
ethic. You know, like he made it to the dream team of all of the best friends with their 1+0 contracts, so they could all meet up on Toronto, and was just like, fuck it, I don't like this game. I'm gonna play Valorant in my spare time and in your scrims. Like,
Yeah, I actually think I'd say those guys all have really good work ethic for the most part. And yeah, I think those guys have probably the biggest. I remember Astro worked really hard. Yeah, I'd say all those players worked pretty hard. Kev is like a fucking maniac. I know that.
yeah,
Like,
maybe Kev's like
hours played Overwatch at least,
yeah.
that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Easy sometimes to mistake hard work for degeneracy. Actually, they
Yes.
kind of go hand in hand, you know?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's
for
like if you want to
sure.
talk about like Kev Kai, it's like, oh my god, they have the most insane work ethics ever. It's like Kai, you mightn't have realized that. I'm pretty sure Kai was putting up like more than 500 comp games per season throughout like the entire fucking year, dude. But it's like, how much of this is actually valuable practice, and how much of this is just like I am sitting lounging in my chair, semi-conscious, looking Junkrat for some reason. It's like there's a line for like quality practice and just wasting your fucking time on the computer.
He
I
is
think Kev
pretty
is a
good
bit
at
of a
Junkrat
freak.
now.
Kev's a freak for it though, because it's like Kev
Mhm.
is the intersect of those things where it's like not only does he play ranked all the fucking time, he's like a sweaty little nerd the whole time that he does it. Like he might not talk, but that guy, like he is just hard trying in ranked every fucking second that he's in the server. Like it's actually embarrassing how hard that kid tries in ranked for like 4 years in the league still. Like, it is unbelievable. So
Yeah.
I think he's probably like one of the top work ethics.
Yeah.
Astro's a nerd too.
All right,
Mhm.
last two to close it out. So we talked a little bit about the idea of region lock, and that's maybe where we're heading anyway in Overwatch. If there is a regional model, how much of a lock should there be? Should it be a complete region lock in your opinion, or should it be like you're allowed 2 imports, 1 import?
You go first, man. Sorry, you're the guest.
Nah, man, you go first.
You sure, man? You sure?
I insist. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm chilling in the Saudi leagues at the moment. I'm currently in Saudi Arabia, and I feel me personally, I feel that allowing only 2 imports is probably a little bit not enough for certain regions. Maybe it would be okay for bigger regions, But I think if you're looking at any small tournaments, I think maybe looking at something like Saudi, Pacific, ANZ, stuff like that. If you start locking down those regions where it's like, oh, you need 3 locals and 2 foreigners, like only 2 imports allowed, often the talent really kind of rises to the top, and the tournaments kind of get to the point where it's like there's really only 1 or 2 teams that can win because the majority of the players on these top 2 teams, like they're just the best players in the scene, and there's not enough players to have 8 competitive teams, So no matter how good the import talent is, the teams that are always going to win, the teams that are going to come first, second, it's basically because they have like 6 to 8 local players on lock, and they're just the key players that define whether or not it's possible. Whereas if you open it up a little more, at least for like smaller scenes, like for instance the Saudi Eleague scene, stuff like that, you probably get more competitive games at the cost of your local talent suffers a little bit, right? Like your domestic players don't get to play as much, but you get more competitive games for it.
So let me get this right. You have an issue with how the Kingdom runs their tournaments?
I have no issue whatsoever with how the Kingdom runs their tournaments. It's really good.
You can speak freely. You'll be gone by the time this airs.
I'm speaking freely right now. I think the way that the Saudi E-Leagues run is real good. I like the Saudi E-Leagues.
Me too.
You too?
Same.
What about you, Zav?
Yeah, I'm actually
Loving
all
it?
in. Yeah, full agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for Scar, Boostia, anyone watching this podcast, anyone that works Saudi E-League, Saudi Esports Federation, we fuck with your tournament. And you know what? If you want to keep 3 out of 5 Saudis for every fucking match forever, we're cool with that too.
Yeah,
Up it if anything.
It's just fine. As long as the analyst desk doesn't have the same limits, it's okay.
Wait, what? give me something nice to say. I need a contract. Give me something nice to say.
I got nothing for you, mate. That's all on you. You gotta scrounge for your own job here.
It's doggy dog out here.
Damn, man, no help at all. I know you know what to say too. Yeah, I agree with that though. I'm just gonna agree with that.
Okay, last one then. What are the craziest things you've read about yourself on Reddit or social media?
I've read some shit. Every time I scroll on Reddit, there's something that is, or on Twitter, there's something that is actually just completely fabricated and made up, and I just laugh at it. Like it's just awesome.
Do you think you are the single most hated on person in Overwatch League history?
There's a guy who comes up in our quiz quite often who might be a little bit more.
I'd say so. I feel like I'm like the necessary. People need somebody to root against. It makes it more fun. So I think.
Thank you for your service.
Exactly. Like so, I think.
Thank you for your service, mate.
I think it's better that way. I really do. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean,
the league needs an anti-hero that doesn't have an accusation of a sex crime on his head, and that's
exactly. I don't really think of I don't really. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't like think about stuff when I say stuff. So I just say it. So I don't really care. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of made up stuff, but it's all good. So.
Do you think fraud is true? When people call you a fraud?
Fraud?
Yeah. Fraudulent. Like how fraudulent are you, 1 to 10? You know?
Fraudulent?
Because I don't think you're actually very fraudulent. You know, I think you're pretty like upfront about like the limitations of what's going on. You know, it's like you come on here and you're like, yeah, I mean that's like no matter how you slice it, that's on me. Fraudulent.
I'll say like they just don't people just don't understand that. People just actually don't fucking understand that this is not the goddamn NFL. I'm not fucking calling the offensive playbook for Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like before every play. Like there's actual limitations, you know, and there's significantly more instinct in these games than in traditional sports. So, yeah, I mean, there's limitations, and I think I do the best I can. Like what I do as a coach is what I would want as a player. So, however that like goes. So, generally speaking, like I most of my guys were quite happy with how I operated, and you can always do more and you can always do less. There's always going to be like friction or like they were comfortable. Like Chio, for instance, was comfortable enough to where if he didn't think I put enough hours that day, he would tell me to keep getting to work. You know, like he would like we would. I'm not joking you. After scrims, he would literally be like, "You need to work. You got more to do." I'm like, "Fuck."
You must be
really?
proud of yourself, bro. On the same level as Dongak in his head.
I would be like, "Fuck." I guess I could sit back down and keep going, but like, God, I'm fucking tired, bro. Like, I really want to go home. Like, we're already 10 hours in. Like, can we just fucking go home, please? But you know, so I think the whole the role doesn't have as much. Like, it's kind of overblown. Like, I don't regret saying it. I don't really care. Like, I think that Lip has more impact on this roster than any coach would, truthfully, right? I think someone has more impact on Florida's team than any coach does. So I don't think that's like unfair to say. You know, I really don't. I think in a lot of like sports, so honestly, I think the coach matters more than any singular player on a lot of traditional sports teams. I really do. So yeah, I think yeah. So I don't, have any problem with that statement.
I think we told the story last week when we asked Chio who was a better coach, Gator or Rush, and he said Rush, but coach doesn't matter.
I mean, they got this like look at that. They got the same
result. Hours.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, I like I know this sounds weird, but if I had myself if I was a player before Overwatch 2 came out, because this game fucking blows, and I had myself as a coach, I'd be quite happy with myself. I would be like, oh, this is exactly what I want, and it's the same thing like on Atlanta a couple of years back. I was quite happy with our staff. I got everything I needed from Unter and Brad, and it was enough. Like nobody was asking Unter to work 12 hours a day, did we?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. And I was quite happy with it. I didn't have any complaints. You didn't see me going to management or complaining to you guys. I was like, that's what I work. And then there was Korean players that would be like, oh, I want a Korean coach. I want a Korean this. I want a Korean that. And then next year they tell me that they wish they would have stayed. So, like grass isn't always greener, like there's a lot to be said for quality of life and culture and stuff. So, yeah.
All right, that seems a fitting place to end the Atlanta talk. Unter is our man on the ground. He is in Riyadh right now.
Yep.
Chris and
Riyadh
me,
correspondent.
Chris and I will be joining the broadcast from the analysis desk for the English broadcast as of, well, tomorrow when we're recording. God knows the time reference for when we actually release this, but probably sometime in the past. And so far, everything's probably pretty much as expected, give or take Gumba's team, I guess.
Yeah.
What was his team?
Falcons, which is like the richest team in the tournament, basically.
Did they get upset?
Yeah, they didn't even qualify for the LAN event because they had Shy and Spectra as their DPS line, and Shy flew from China to Saudi, which is a very, very long flight. So they had 2 matches in that time period, and while Shy was flying, they lost 1 match with their Saudi player, and then in the second, because you have like a mixture of Saudi, you have like bigger than 5 rosters always. So Saudis play the qualifying tournaments. So they lost 1 with the Saudi player, and then for the second match the following day, still while Shah was flying, the Saudi player slept through. They got DQ'd, knocked out. They lost 2 matches in Swiss, and they just got knocked out because the Saudi player missed the match. So basically, the biggest spending, biggest backed roster just got completely fucked. Because one dude was on a plane at the worst time possible. And that would have been a good team, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the rest of the tournament goes, Twisted Minds is obviously just for Saudi core plus Addy and Kellex, minus Haku guy. But they're probably set to win it. GK, which is Landon and Checkmate's team, are probably the closest rivals. And it's still going on for quite a while, actually. It's all of this week, or up to Saturday, then 3 days next week as well. So
yeah,
this will probably be out before the final conclusion.
Under's coming back 20 pounds lighter.
A few dollars richer, though.
Yeah, nah.
Quite a few dollars richer. Did you tap into that pipeline?
Get the fuck out of here. Did you tap into that pipeline? Dude. Like you've been working on that one, dude. That's like you walk through the streets of Riyadh and money just flows, that's how it is here.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
I like to hear.
I don't know though. I think there's definitely like some players on GK, to keep an eye out for, to be honest. Like if you see TVNT and Teenage, especially Teenage, he's a cheater.
A hot property.
Yeah, Teenage. He's not a cheater, but he might as well be a cheater because he's really sharp. So GK actually, I think is a pretty respectable team, to be honest. A lot of the teams below GK tier, they're a lot weaker. They're more like a 3-minute time bank kind of team when you play a match versus them. But GK, I'd expect a bit more of a fight.
Yeah, that'll be the grand finals almost certainly.
Absolutely. If they're not the grand finals, I will shit in my hands and clap.
Yeah. But we'll see. I think it looks a decent meta for GK in terms of Landon BAP is probably a really significant factor. Checkmate was obviously good. And then, I think a lot of these tournaments, especially when every team brings 2 imports, it comes down to like whose Saudi talent is the best, which is obviously why Twisted Minds has basically monopoly on all of the best Saudi talent. But maybe if the rumors of this Teenage guy are as good as what people say, that like he's actually the next up and comer.
I've been told literally verbatim, way better than Quartz, definitely better than Merit as well. So
from who?
Landon.
I see.
So he might be a little bit biased, but
I see. There might be a little bit.
But if he's right,
well, wouldn't be the first time that someone Teenage
they don't
has
have
upset
Unter,
in Overwatch. So yeah,
they don't have you Unter.
Yep, and that is a massive difference. So if Twisted lose, you know where to point the finger.
That's true.
Making it a real dog battle for most disappointing year of Overwatch if you throw in a Twisted
that'd be capping off the crown for who disappointed more this year. Like whether or not Twisted takes the title here.
All right, so we'll probably talk more in detail maybe when that event is finished. Then Flash Ops I guess it's not too much to talk about, really, because it's just the top 8 have qualified out of Sweden. I don't really know if there were too many upsets to speak of.
There was none. There was really none. But there's
we
only
really,
you guys,
we really attempted to fuck it up. We were so close. We were so lucky to qualify. Like if one of the other results goes away, we don't get in on 8 and 2.
you guys are actually you had to make the miraculous comeback to scrape in 8th place to qualify for the
had to bring
knockouts.
Cum into it again. Unbelievable.
And then, I don't think anything surprising happened in America.
No.
Yeah, American Tornado beat the second team, but Hawk wasn't playing. You know, for the Seeker RuPaul team, Hawk wasn't playing, so you know maybe that goes a little differently. Although I do think for like a Sigma meta, actually no, let's not say for a Sigma meta because this requires Kaluge to perform in like a finals format for them to actually win. So you know maybe the American Tornado choke.
Surely the flash ops lights
third
don't
time
go
lucky.
bright enough to cause
they're
any
onliners.
problem.
They're onliners, so maybe doable.
Get him a dimmer switch installed and it'll be all right.
Lights are too damn bright, man.
And then I've actually not paid a whole lot of attention to Korea, so I'm a little bit out of the loop.
I think
there was an
the
upset.
team with
as of
Smurf got
today.
knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Not to
lost
lower
to
bracket.
Was that really an upset though? Because that was the best from 2018.
Yeah, it's like a normally upset, you know. Like
yeah,
the people on Twitter think that's the
fan
craziest upset
favorites
of all time.
Yeah,
you know?
it's fan favorite.
Like,
upset.
oh my god, the team with like Kellen and Decay on it is starting to surpass the Birdring Prophet team. No fucking way.
It just starts to look like one of those like retired professional footballers, like senior league 5v5 type things.
Even then, it was close. So I don't.
You have this roster in season 2 or something though, and you'd be laughing.
You're still good for
4
top
years.
4 in Overwatch League, so you know, not bad.
All right,
quiz it.
Quiz it up. Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that wraps us up.
All right.
Okay. Then we will do it as we always do it. I have maybe 3 questions. I think if we get them all, I have a tiebreaker. And if we get that one, then we'll call it a draw. So we'll start easy. I think we actually ironically already touched on this, but season 2, okay, San Francisco Shock were the best team, and a lot of people consider this the best team of all time. Season 2, San Francisco Shock. They lost 3 games in the regular season, but no one's going to remember those. But they also lost 3 games, ironically, in tournaments or playoff situations. So can we go around the table and name all of them? I'll let Gator go first because he knows one of them. I'm fairly confident.
No idea.
Lost to Atlanta first round playoffs.
Yeah.
That year.
That's
Also
right.
lost to Cougar in the finals of stage.
Hey.
Oh.
You only get 1.
Shit. Okay.
Oh no, dude. Like,
I helped you out, Hunter. Go. You got to take that one because you don't obviously don't know
course,
shit.
you know, of course.
Yeah, in what stage? Because there's 4 stages in that one.
Yeah, 4 stages.
Oh god, was it stage 1 or 2? Stage 1?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And then they lost once more in stage 3 playoff finals to a different team.
Oh, you know this one.
I really.
This is iconic. This is iconic.
It was really iconic.
This is iconic
Oh,
because this was the goats. This is the goats verse. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, now I know it. He'll
Oh,
get that, surely.
it's Shanghai then, right?
Yeah, that was
With
it. So
triple
it was the
DPS.
last
Right.
ever game before 2-2-2 lock because Goats was so dominant. And
Crazy because
Goats
Gator just 3-0
Okay.
in this quiz. Like it was all
Just like a half of our points for each one.
Okay. Then there was season 1 Overwatch League. I think I can actually double check it. Does this move my camera if I do this? Can you still see me?
You've gone.
No.
you're a black square
Gone
now, mate. You
dark.
look great.
Yeah.
The lights aren't
Okay,
bright
sure.
enough.
Alright. Yeah.
Brighten them up. Brighten them up.
There we go.
Am I back
Tornado
again
players
now?
are choke,
You're
watch
good.
out.
Okay. So in season 1, there was either 12 or 13 teams. In season 2, 6 or 7 more teams joined. Can you remember which were the expansion teams versus the original teams? So start with X and go around. Only get 1.
Toronto were an expansion team.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
These are so
Nick-
easy. Hurry up.
Nixel was like an original? Or are we doing
No.
only expansions? Sorry.
Only the expansion.
Only
teams.
expansions.
Chengdu an expansion? Was that an OG?
I think
might be like
they were.
The changes
I think they were-
I
expansion.
think they're an expansion, right?
Changes
Yeah.
expansion. They are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Thanks, Quizmaster.
That's it. That's why they pay me for. Okay, then
Correct,
X.
X?
Wait.
We started with X.
Yeah, but Gator did one. Yeah, so it is X. It is.
Okay. Who we had so far? Toronto.
Atlanta, Chengdu.
Vancouver were as well, right? Yeah, Vancouver.
Yeah. I think there was 8 expansion teams now that I look at it.
Spark.
Charge.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
What's the other one?
Sounds like there's a Korean woman aggressively knocking on every doorbell in the corridor. So if you hear it in a second, that's what it is.
What's the other?
We haven't hit them all, have we?
No,
No, I think there's at least one more that I think we've missed. Yeah, one more.
The Paris Eternal. No, Paris Eternal
Yeah.
one, which
Yeah,
is Vegas
Paris.
now, but yeah.
Yeah, Paris.
All right.
Okay, then tiebreaker question. We all get one guess, and like, I won't leak it till the end. Which league of the Overwatch League?
There she is.
I'm not in. Which league of the Overwatch League had the lowest percentage of Korean players?
Which year?
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
which year
season?
the league?
Ooh.
You'll get one guess.
Year
Yeah.
1.
I think year 2.
I was gonna go year 2. I
Okay,
feel like that
everyone
doesn't
happy?
work if I. Does it
No,
work if
because
I agree on a
I'll-
tiebreaker?
There's a tie break.
I've got a
Oh.
tie. Okay, so you want to lock it in? 2-2-1.
2-2-1.
Yep.
Gator is the winner. So season 1 had 47% Korean, which is the only season it's been under 50.
Good
Season
lord.
2 we went up. Season 2 we went up to 55, so there was a massive increase in season 2. Then in seasons 3, 4, and 6, it was all 57%. And season 5 was the highest Korean dominated, where 59% of the league were Korean. So Gator is actually the dominator of the quiz.
Typical domination.
That works. I'll take that.
What are you gonna do with that? You know, like your quiz points.
I'm gonna sleep like a baby tonight, knowing I won.
First major win of the year.
First game. I'm best. I haven't had a win in months.
This is worth more than a mid-season match.
I
This is
needed
unreal.
this. Honestly, this was less expected. This one, so I'll take that. It's felt better. It's felt actually better. I feel like I
Easier
actually
being
won
the
something.
underdog.
It really is. I like this. I'm liking this.
All right, then to round it up, 2 final segments. We have clients of the week. Anyone want to jump in with nominations for biggest client moment?
Yeah.
Go on.
Saudi Eleague's Fuki from Twisted Minds for sleeping the highest paid roster in the entire tournament out of online qualifiers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not from Twisted Minds, from fucking Falcons Esports. Twisted Minds, my one.
We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant.
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
we got to clarify that.
That has to. Okay, that has to be it. There's just no way there's another one, right?
Yeah. Presumably, him being asleep has cost his organization quite literally thousands and thousands of US dollars. So congratulations to Fuki.
Is there any?
And also congratulations to Danny for not winning it this week. Unless anyone has another Danny story.
I don't think Danny's done anything client-worthy in the past 7 days, so I think he might actually be in the clear.
I think I just haven't heard from him for a week, so he's finally managed to escape it by doing that.
He's intentionally just
He's
gone
lying
silent.
low.
Too.
Unbelievable.
What about Gator? Any honorary nominations from the year with Atlanta? Who was the biggest? Every team has one person who's just undisputably the biggest client on the team. Who is that? Who was that for this Atlanta this year?
Just a dysfunctional, useless.
Couldn't use the washing machine.
Good example.
Incapable of real life skills. Yeah.
Go on. Don't tell me your kids were well raised.
Fuck. They're actually okay. I'm not gonna lie. They weren't too bad. The only time they ever asked is that for car if they needed rides and stuff for cars. I'm gonna say.
Oh, bro, like surely
I'm gonna say Vigi. No, actually, no. I'm gonna say Stalker. I'm gonna say Stalker, because he'd have weird ass requests. He would just message. He'd message us in the middle of the night saying he needs toenail clippers. He didn't have any.
There you go. That's
guy just like doesn't know. Guy just like doesn't know how to get toenail clippers. Apparently, like I don't know. Like.
And you're the person to solve that for him.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's in the contract. Head coach contract.
Yeah, exactly. No, you don't even know that.
You guys don't even live together, right? You're all in apartments, so you don't even live in the same house as him, and he's asking you for toenail clippers.
No, they would. Yes, many more things than that. But yeah,
client.
they actually, now think about it, most of them all were clients.
Yeah,
they're mostly clients. They're actually mostly clients. I think the only people that weren't clients were the tanks. Actually, the tanks never asked for anything.
The 17-year-old kid. Like.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, Fuki and most of the Atlanta Reign winners this week winners. And then we didn't do this last week because we had no guest, but we always rank the guests. So we've had on Hadi before, who is currently the lowest ranked guest. Then Danny came soaring in to take first place. No guest.
He gave good shit?
Yeah, Danny was good.
Okay.
And then now it's our turn to see where you fit in this not very big tier list so far in between Hadi and Danny.
I had to give some stupid fucking takes. Like, I have to be up there.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm not up there. I said some dumb shit.
The most numbers, presumably, right? Like this week.
Yeah.
We put our career thing in the title, say Gators on the episode.
Yeah, put that on there. I was literally speaking without thinking. Like, I have to deserve at least top 2. You know?
I think top 2. I think I'd say this is the best podcast we've done so far. Maybe it's a hot take.
I would say so too. I would say there's a massive tier break as well. Like, I know it's a small tier list, but I'd say there's a huge tier break between Gator and everyone else that we've had on.
Yeah, I think
what you're saying is I could come back in 2024 is what you're saying.
I mean, I think that could be a lucrative career in podcasting for you.
Okay.
What I'm saying. You know, maybe not coaching. Overwatch coaching seems like it didn't work out. But podcasting could be your thing.
Nobody's willing to give up their prize split with no orgs right now. Who would have thought? I mean, wow. Didn't see that one coming.
So yeah, I think I'm in agreement. Top of the list. That means 0-2 for Overwatch tournaments this year, but 2 out of 2 for podcast awards.
I was underdog too coming into this.
Yeah.
And won. Think about that.
We came in expecting you to flop. You know, that's kind of your whole thing.
That's what you expect.
But that's what we did on London this year. You got to lower the expectations so then you can bounce back even harder.
Yes, exactly. Like the expectations are so low that it makes it easy.
What is interesting is so far every time we've had a new guest on, we've just said they're the new best guest we've ever had. Either we have to just keep pandering to the guest, or eventually we're going to have to tell someone this was the worst episode we filmed. Thank you for coming. Can you
promise me right now that whoever the next is, that you have to tell them they're not first, no matter what?
Wait, what if they are first?
It doesn't matter.
What if they're better?
It doesn't matter. You have to say them that they're second. So you have to break that.
No, what if they are better though? There has to be
my integrity is too high.
Oh my! You hear
I
this?
got no integrity. I promise that, Blake. You're at the top.
I appreciate that. Yeah. That's a proper Australian man right there.
Most respectable Australian man.
Most respectable.
I guess the only other thing we normally do is figure out who our next guest should be as we trail off into the conclusion of the podcast.
We had a list. I want to get Astro on at some point to talk about Gladiators. Like,
you get some players on. You get some players on. You get some players on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe do Astro next.
Astro would be good.
Right.
Then whether it's before or after flopped in flash ops.
Figure out how Kasaurus is still getting paid. If we can really dive deep into that one.
Yeah, that would be a fucking investigation for sure.
Well, you should get cast on for sure because they're over there building an Overwatch empire right now.
I genuinely want to know what the future of Overwatch holds, and literally Kasaris the only
got the
guy who
keys.
knows it, because
Yeah.
he's the only salaried coach in the world right now. So like,
The highest paid coach
he
in the
must
world
know
right
something
now.
we don't. Yeah, he's fucking nuts at GeoGuessr too.
So
So we're all done.
All right.
Thank you very much,
Pack
Gator.
it.
Been a
GG's,
pleasure.
GG's, gentlemen. Yeah.
Salam
All right.
alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Oh, you nailed
Allah.
that.
bye.
Now we're all
Goodbye.
getting hired.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
What does that
Pack
even
it up.
mean? I don't even know what that means. Salam alaikum.